Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. How are you doing? Good people of the algorithm. It's been a minute. It's been about 2 weeks. I want to apologize. I've been busy, super busy. As you can see, there is a lot going on in the world. There is a lot going on in the US. And because of that, the job that I do, my mission has changed. So there's a lot of changes that's coming down the pipeline, but I just wanted to say that I did miss you all, and I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is safe, your loved ones are safe, and you're enjoying your Saturday evening wherever you are in the world. I also want to shout out the for early birds that came into the chat. Shout out to Brucey. As always, I appreciate you, Brucey. Thank you so much for being one of my great mods. Truly appreciate you. And also shout out to Ricardo. Where is he at? There he is. Shout out to Ricardo. Thank you so much, sir. How are you? I hope everything's well. I hope you're having a great Saturday. And Problem Child. Shout out to you, sir. How are you doing? It's good to see you, Royce. I hope you're having a great Saturday as well. So, guys, I have a new setup. If you haven't noticed, right? The camera is not as close as it normally is. It's a little further away. I was able to get some type of stand with some type of light fixture, whatever. So I hope this is okay. I hope it's good. I know that the last time I did have a live stream, I said I was going to stand up and take a bow. I might do that this evening. For you, ladies and gents. But I do have 3 cases for you. So if you can please just give me a thumbs up, it definitely helps the channel. As you can see, because of you good folks of the algorithm, this channel was able to hit 100,000 subscribers. Right now, we are at 107,000 subscribers. So the new goal is to get to 130,000 subscribers by the end of December. So I will truly appreciate it if you hit the like button for me. If you subscribe, share this out to anyone that is interested in reviewing these old type of cases. And we have some other newcomers that came in. So hi, David. How are you? He said, what is your job? Ooh, okay. Let's just say I'm in the armed forces. We'll just put it like that. Hi, Frank. How are you? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope you're well. Alexis, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And happy Saturday. I hope you're enjoying your birthday and please be safe. Please, please, please be safe. Okay? And let's see. Elja Shaban, he said, what profession do you practice? We'll just say law enforcement. We'll do that. But guys, I have 3 new cases. I hope you enjoy them. Let me go ahead and pull one of them up. The first case that I have for you, good folks, is about, I think this one should work. Yeah. So it's an old case, but it's about a husband and his house of horrors. I think something happened to his wife and there was things that was going on and he probably act like he didn't know what happened to his wife and why the house looked this way. So I wanted to take a look at it. Like I said, it's an old case. Maybe some of you guys have seen it, and if you did, go ahead and put it in the comment in the chat and let me know. But until then, let me go ahead and then pull this up, and here we go.
Where's your emergency?
I'm on North 225 West Road. There's a body hanging off the bridge, no head. There's a car coming.
Hey, sweetheart. It's good to see you. Happy Saturday.
Okay.
There's a dead body.
That's a deer.
Are you sure?
Yeah. But I'll back up and I'll check.
I'm on the phone with the cops now.
Okay, she thinks it's a deer?
No, it's a body. It's a body.
From what I can tell, it looks like an arm.
Yeah, that's what I seen, with no head. I'm freaking out.
You're fine. I'm going to pull over and I'm going to stay with you.
Okay. I never seen something like this.
On August 20th, 2020, officers responded to this bone-chilling phone call. At 5 a.m., they swarmed the Sugar Creek Bridge, and upon arrival, they were taken aback by the ghastly scene before them. What had momentarily been mistaken for roadkill was a deceased middle-aged woman. Her body was badly bruised, her arms were bent at odd angles, and most disturbingly, her head was gone. How and where she'd been left only made the scene harder to stomach. Closer inspection revealed that she wasn't next to the bridge's guardrail. Rather, she'd been stuffed underneath it, so that her upper body was splayed out on the road while her legs hung limply off the side of the bridge. At the same time that police were working to make sense of what might have happened to their headless Jane Doe, Indiana resident Michael Parks was making a 911 call to report his wife, Hope Parks, missing.
Hi, my name is Michael Parks, and me and my wife, we kind of got into an argument Tuesday, and I haven't seen her, and I'm getting worried.
Okay. What's her name?
Hope. Somebody picked her up. She got into a car with somebody, and they left. It was either a silver or a white, like, Honda Civic.
Following this call, a sergeant from the Crawfordsville Police Department briefly spoke with Michael over the phone to get a description of his missing wife. Michael described a few of Hope's tattoos, one being a heart with his name on it. After police inspected the body's tattoos, Michael was instructed to immediately make his way to the Crawfordsville Police Department to speak further about his wife's disappearance. Only when he arrived at the station was Michael informed that the headless woman they'd found that morning matched his description of his wife. For the sake of the investigation, he was immediately escorted into an interrogation room, where the following never-before-seen footage was recorded.
So before we go on, what I want to say is 2 things. Normally, when we hear about a gruesome body being found, right, limbs are removed, the person's head is gone. Those are 2 things that can happen. It's either something that is personal or there's a serial killer on the loose, right? That's normally what happened, because usually if it's just like an instant kill or something like that, people are more concerned and worried about getting away. I'm thinking that her body, she was already gone, and the body was thrown in that area where they found it, right? So they'll know when they do the testing, and they'll see how long the body has been deceased, or that person has been deceased, if that's her, right? Because they haven't necessarily said it's her. We all know that it is her body. But just think about that in your head. When you see things like that, it's either you're dealing with a serial killer or someone had pure hatred for this individual. I also find it funny that this is your wife and you got in a big argument with them and you allowed her to get in a car with a complete stranger and just drive off. You didn't, and you telling me you didn't get a good look at the gentleman, but you got a good look at the vehicle. I find that quite odd. You normally, even if you're in a heated argument with your wife, you're not letting your wife just jump in the car with anybody. We have seen people or husbands or partners literally pull their significant other out of vehicles, and they know the person. That's their girlfriend, that's their sister, that's their brother, whatever. Not they'll pull them out of the vehicle, when they want to control the situation and they want to have the conversation with them. So for him to just let his wife just hop in somebody's white truck, I don't really buy it that much. But let's go on. Let's see what else he has to say about this.
The one thing I do, I record everything because my notes suck. I can't write with crap. So I do record everything. One thing, what is your full name, sir?
Michael Dale Parks.
Okay.
Interrogation rooms can be scary places, but Michael has been brought into a soft interrogation room. This is highly unusual. These soft rooms are primarily used for victims, usually children. As the grieving husband, the police may have chosen this room to offer him a bit of comfort. However, in most cases, the spouse is the prime suspect until they're cleared. If the police do suspect Michael, the choice of a soft room could then be an attempt to put him at ease. As well, the detective is making sure to alleviate any of Michael's possible concerns by telling him that the recording is for the detective's own notes.
What'd you call this department?
So I'm glad they actually told you the definition of why these interrogation rooms look different. Remember, we have went through so many cases on this channel where some people was in real interrogation rooms that didn't have no windows, there's no picture, they have an ugly color on the wall, they're sitting on metal chairs, and they're usually chained up to the table. Those are ones who they pretty much have an idea that this is their suspect. But now you actually get the terminology for those softer rooms that look like it's just an interview. It's a soft interrogation. They use those mostly for like victims, as they said, and then children, right? But in some situations, they will use a soft room if they suspect that their primary person that they need to go and ask questions to, they don't want them to be alarmed that they're automatically assuming that they're the prime suspect or the person that they're looking for. Because usually when people feel that they're guilty or someone is looking at them guilty, they're going to freeze up. They're not going to be open. They're not going to let their guard down. They'll be very calculated with what they will say in their interrogation. And this is not what the detectives want. The detectives want them to be as calm as possible. They want to study their reaction. How are they reacting from hearing that something happened to their significant other? Or if they give them more details about what happened to their significant other, are they going to start panicking? Are they going to show signs of shock? Or they're going to show signs of remorse? Or they're going to show signs of guilty? So for allowing them to do that is creating an environment where the person feels like they are not being pressured. Let's see what else. Hey, Kelvin Jackson, how are you? Ricardo said, I heard once that depending on the weapon, amount of wounds, and the type of the wound, you could determine if the motive was personal or else. Yes, it's depending on where the wound is. Like certain things that people use tend to be personal. We know that people get, like for example, a gun, right? A gun can be a personal situation, and it cannot be a personal situation. We have heard people get shot by guns even recently. We can hear people get shot by guns just by stray bullets and things of that sort. And then we hear about people getting shot directly in their head or directly behind their back and stuff like that. So just because where they decided to shoot the person, or if it's at point blank range, that will let you know whether or not if it was more personal or if it was just you was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's see. Oh, hey, hate to love. Oh, Duping Delight, how are you? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. And hate to love, happy Saturday. Hope everything's going well. Let's see. Sweetheart said a man called the police and said that his wife is missing. Okay, you're just telling him. Okay, no problem. All right. So let's go on a little bit more.
I'm worried about her.
You're worried about your wife?
Yes.
Okay. Why? What's going on?
We've been arguing over my son for the last couple months.
Okay.
He's in and out of drugs. Can't keep a job. He brought drugs into the house. I kicked him out. I don't want him there. She wants him there. It got to the point where I told her to choose between me or him. One of us has got to go. Well, he left. She's been wanting him to come home. I say no. He got a speeding ticket and the proof of no insurance or whatever they call that. He has the car. It's his car. It's in my wife's name.
Oh, okay.
But he paid her for the car. He never took the title. I told her to give it to him, cancel the insurance. She never did. So that's how the argument started.
In just the first few minutes, Michael has made several assertions that indicate possible control issues. He cited several instances where he's told his wife what to do rather than communicating and making decisions together.
She texted me, asked me if I called the insurance. I said no. I said I haven't had time. You can read it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I hope you enjoy the channel. Thank you, Hate Love. I truly appreciate you.
Notice how Michael rubs his face after handing his phone to the detective, then proceeds to partially cover his mouth with his hand, keeping it there for the next couple minutes. Michael is also covering his genitals here. This is a common barrier used by men when they feel threatened or stressed. These gestures convey anxiety and uneasiness, not unusual for someone who's just lost their spouse. However, hiding the face is also typical of someone who might be trying to hide something else.
Your son has some drug issues or anything? Does your wife have any alcohol or drug issues?
No.
Is there anything that...
No. She's very controlling.
Oh, awesome.
Michael's answer here is completely irrelevant to the question. Instead of simply responding with information about Hope's substance abuse, he goes into a rather sudden and impertinent spiel about how controlling she is. So far.
So I want to tell you something. That is a tattletale sign that detectives pick up that regular folks don't understand. If you just think about the whole scenario, his wife is missing. He doesn't know if she's dead or alive. They bring him into questioning. He tells them about the arguments that they have. He shows that he do have controlling issues, as in is his way or the highway, not two people coming together in what they're going to do when it comes down to their son, because their son is not living the life necessarily that the way that they want him to. And then he goes in out of nowhere and says that she's controlling, even though he has already shown that he has controlling elements about him. It's a tattletale sign when the other individual goes into kind of like, I don't want to necessarily say damaging the person's reputation, but in a way that is what they're doing. They're already painting certain narratives about the person, and then that moves away the caring aspect that you necessarily supposed to have with that person right now. If you're so concerned, like for me, if a family member was missing right now, even if I'm not on good terms with that family member, my first go-to is not to talk about all my grievances that I have about that family member. It doesn't matter if that family member has made mistakes or we're not really seeing eye to eye. My biggest concern is where are they? And I'm nervous. I'm scared for their safety. I want to hear from their voice. I want to know that they're okay. That is my first, intent, not to sit up there and bash them to random strangers. So it's like, why are you already creating a narrative about them? I can understand you just saying, hey, yeah, we had a big argument. This is what you said. You had a big argument and she went and hurry up and jumped into somebody's car, a random a stranger's car, a white truck, and you just let it happen. But the whole throwing it on thick about, oh, this person's controlling and all the stuff like that, you got to be very mindful of that. Those are tattletale signs that you're already trying to paint a picture about this person. And I thought it was about trying to find this person that you love. But we'll go on. Let's go on a little bit more and let's see what he has to say. He's already showing signs of him being anxious and in distress. Literally, the hand on the cheek is somewhat of, it's a coping mechanism. And also, he's not necessarily trying to tell the truth, right? So that is a way for him to calm himself, soothe himself, make himself not seem as anxious, but he doesn't know that he's giving off other details about him being stressed and anxious.
Michael has taken almost every chance to speak negatively of his wife, even if it wasn't warranted.
As far as
very clean,
self-control or controlling on everybody.
Controlling on everybody.
Okay.
Which I'm used to it. They don't bother me.
Yeah, for 25 years, you find your niche.
I've gotten used to it. I take medication. I do have anger issues, but I take medication for it. But I've never done anything.
How are you?
Michael continues to divulge information that wasn't asked for. The fact that he has anger issues, which he takes medication for, clues detectives in on Michael's capacity to become violent. He then feels it necessary to include that he's never done anything violent to his wife. What Michael is doing here is oversharing, or volunteering unnecessary and excessive amounts of information. Oversharing is, more often than not, a nervous attempt to convince others that one is being open and honest. However, as you can see here, it often has the opposite effect. It's entirely possible that Michael could be oversharing to alleviate anxiety, as some people tend to do.
Okay, so nothing. Controlled substance.
You know who else overshare? There's two different types of oversharing that we tend to see in people. So you have the ones that can possibly be a narcissist, right? Even though we know that everybody has a dabble of narcissism in it, we're all on different type of spectrums. We can go from very low cases of narcissism to very high extreme cases of narcissism. However, oversharing is a part of that. You want to say, you're trying to kind of paint yourself as a victim. You're trying to kind of paint yourself like, oh, I would never do this, or please don't even think of assuming that I would do this because I know I wouldn't do this. I don't have the capacity of doing anything like this, right? But then we just saw him kind of throw his wife under the bus, saying that she was controlling and all that stuff like that from the very beginning. Then the other set of oversharing is someone who is an overthinker, right? An overthinker is not necessarily a narcissist or anything of that sort. It's just someone who's always, overanalyzing things. They're overanalyzing themselves. They're overanalyzing how people view them. It's very concerning for them. And sometimes they'll do it without even knowing that they're oversharing. So some people will believe that that person who's doing it, they'll believe that they're doing it because they're trying to hide something, and not necessarily them being anxious or them being concerned about how one is perceiving what they're delivering to them. So those are two different types of oversharing that we see in people. So this is why we can't necessarily, we shouldn't necessarily diagnose people per se about whether they have this or that going on, because it can show up in different people for different reasons and in different situations. Let's see. Yes, it does. Hi, Lord. It does make me happy. It very do. It does. Happy Saturday. Dupin says, I learned a lot from watching people like this and reading people well. Right, yeah. He's obviously has issues with his wife and also anger issues. Huge red flag to his now missing wife. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. All right, let's go on a little bit more.
No Xanax or anything like that. Okay. Now, and granted, it's what all families do as well, especially if you're arguing over a kid and stuff.
I want to hurt him. I hate to say this and have it on recording, but I do. I want to hurt him. That's why he had to go.
Michael doesn't even let the detective finish his question before he goes off on another tangent. This time, he derails the conversation to the topic of his son, John. Admitting to something less egregious in order to appear completely transparent is a common tactic used to gain the trust of others.
Would she confide in him or your daughter?
Yes. Or him.
Okay.
Me and my daughter are real close. Her and John are real close. She'll do anything for me, which that's what makes me mad.
Michael clearly possesses a considerable level of bitterness toward his wife concerning how much she dotes on their son. Not only that, but up to this point, Michael has centered the entire interrogation around how toxic he believes his wife and son are, painting John as the problem and his wife as an out-of-control enabler. If he did have something to do with what happened to Hope, he's just established a clear motive for himself.
When she left, you started getting in the car, right? Did you happen to see the driver at all? Couldn't tell, male, female, anything?
Frankly, Michael seems much more concerned about their intermarital issues than he does about the fact that his wife might have been found dead just that morning.
Yeah, Michael's not giving off good signs. He's definitely giving off signs that he has a hatred for his wife. She seems to be the problem. He seems to be the victim and have done no wrong. He also have positioned this story to the detective that him and his wife, his wife and his son are in cahoots to make his life a living hell. And all he wants to do is just correct them and move them down the right, the right path. He has not taken any I guess accountability for anything. And then now when it comes to him asking about this white truck that he supposedly saw that his wife got in, he didn't see nothing. He didn't see the person. He just knows it's a white truck. And I find that very odd because he's saying nope, but he's saying it with his hand still on his cheek, which knows that he's not going to be forthcoming. So he's just like, nope, nope, nope. But it's like, okay, this is your wife. Again, this is your wife. You're supposed to love your wife. I mean, sometimes you hate them. It is what it is, right? But you're supposed to, in general, you're supposed to care about the well-being of your spouse, right? That's why you married that person. So you allow this person that you've been married to for, I don't know, however long, 20 years, 20 plus years, you just allow them to just jump in some random person's car. You didn't even get a good look at that person's face or what the figure looked like. What race is the person? Is the person a male or a female, right? You didn't even take a good look or a Snapchat or a picture of the license plate. You just allowed her to just go into somebody's vehicle. I really just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. And I don't think that the detectives buy that either. But the more that he's talking, the more the detectives is now moving him as not a grieving husband or a husband that is filled with anxiety, wondering where his missing wife is. He just came on into this interrogation. He came on as he just wanted to blame his wife, even for her missing right now. Right now, he's blaming his wife that it's her fault that she's missing. She's just a troublemaker. That's how he's been making it seem for the past 10 to 15 minutes. Roy said mind tricks and picking people's brain, employing manipulation tactics. Yeah. Duping says, could it be jealousy over his wife and son's relationship? Some do, I think, take attention from them. You know what? Jealousy, it could definitely be a possibility. He did show some of that, right? The fact that he felt that his wife doted on her son more than him per se, or he felt that she was doing too much for him and he's a grown man and he doesn't need that helped, that could be a problem. That could definitely have been a problem. Didn't get a license plate. No, he didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't, even now, he doesn't even seem like a really concerned husband for a missing wife. But yet you're the one who called 911 saying, hey, I want to report that my wife is missing. But let's go on.
Has she ever been known to kind of step outside the marriage at all? Is there nothing? No. Nobody from her past that she could run to?
We used to live in Illinois. Me and my daughter talked about that. I said anything. It's my daughter. I haven't told her yet.
Well, and we're still, I mean, they're still doing some stuff somewhere else. So that's why we're talking to you to get information. And I actually don't even know what all the officer told you. I'm just trying to get
he just
overall picture.
Told me that the tattoos that I described to him, which I do have pictures of them, the tattoos matched the description.
You said earlier you were going to give her till Friday. What made you decide to go ahead and call today?
My emotions. I'm very worried. I'm very worried about her. I miss her.
In addition to stuttering throughout his answer, Michael appears to break eye contact with the detective for a moment and looks directly at the camera. He seems uncertain in what he's saying.
We may have found her. So we're still looking into that.
Before now, Michael has been informed that the tattoos found on the headless woman matched those of his wife. However, hearing the news again begets a distressed reaction, which is expected. He covers his mouth with his hand and looks away from the detective. He also uncrosses his leg, a shift referred to as an anchor point movement. When someone is stressed, you'll commonly see shifts in their anchor points. In the case of a person who's sitting down, like Michael, their anchor points are their legs, buttocks, and back. Though his physical reaction is appropriate, it seems oddly void of the usual overwhelming anger or sadness that you might see from someone in Michael's position.
What made you think that something had happened to her?
I think it's just stress. I didn't think anything happened to her. It's just worried. I wanted to know where she was.
This question is at first met with silence from Michael, perhaps because it requires him to go into detail about how he feels about his wife's disappearance. He seems uncomfortable and exasperated, but he proceeds to mumble an answer from behind his hand.
He's going to go over a couple papers with you as far as the consent and just consent to search your house and the car, because there's some things we need to find out about her. Because like I said, I don't know her and I don't know you. Because we need to find out how she got
search her car.
Yeah, but I'll go ahead and let him fill that paperwork out. I'll step out.
Yeah, his reaction is quite weird, and I wanted to pin on two things. When his daughter called the phone, you notice how he removed his hand and he was willing to talk clear to the detective. Oh, it's my daughter calling. However, when it got back to asking questions about the wife and probably informing them that they found those tattoos that you said that your wife had, we found a body that doesn't have a head that has those similar tattoos. His reaction went right back to putting his hand back on his cheek, and like they said, he did a shift, as in uncrossing his legs, leaning more into the couch, positioning his buttocks more like to lean like that in the seat. So it's weird how you was more clear and direct when you was like, oh, this is my daughter calling me. You wasn't scared, you wasn't showing no anxious or stress there. But now when they go back to asking you questions, they go back to informing you that they found someone who have similar tattoos that your wife said, you went back into your anxious mode. But even then, you're still not showing any signs of remorse. You're showing signs of, oh God, they're about to investigate. Oh God, now they're going to start researching and looking and getting DNA and trying to find fingerprints and stuff. It was like more concerned about that, not even concerned that he, even asking the question, hey, do you think that that's my wife? You said that those tattoos are similar to what my wife has. Are you telling me, like, there was no type of, I don't know, like, I didn't get anything from him. And it's just weird. It's really, really weird. Hey, Miss Joanne, how are you, sweetheart? I hope everything is well with you. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. How are you, sis? I hope everything's going good. Duping says, why didn't he ask if she was alive? Although, right, exactly. He didn't even ask if she was alive or dead. And if they gave him that extra information that they found someone's body with those particular type of tattoos that, that he gave them to use to identify her, I just find it quite odd that he's acting that way. I really do. I really, really, really do. I love being a home detective. Yeah, like Roy said, I feel like a cop. All right, let's go on a little bit more.
Outside, I'll try to get some more information.
Michael's body language is very important here. At the mention of needing to search their home and car, Michael begins to noticeably fidget. He rubs his face and his leg begins to shake, though he seems to catch it and get himself back under control. Michael is then left alone in the interrogation room for the next few minutes. He changes positions and fidgets quite frequently. At one point, he even puts his head in his hands. These gestures signify stress and uneasiness.
What we'd like to do is be able to get consent, and we'd like to be able to get that from you. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
I can bring you the car right now if you want.
Normally, a search warrant is required to search someone's property. It's common knowledge that in order to obtain a search warrant, police must have probable cause, or specific facts that would lead a person to believe that evidence of a crime is located on someone's property. However, it's a lesser-known fact that police can simply ask an individual for permission to search their property. The owner's written consent is just as valid as a search warrant, and officers will often try to garner consent to search from the suspect first, especially in time-sensitive cases, as it saves them a lot of precious time and resources.
Okay. I'm going to go over this with you, okay, sir? Are you able to read and write and understand the English language?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Note how his hands are positioned. When a person feels threatened or stressed, they'll sometimes subconsciously take up a position that protects or covers their vital body parts. Given the circumstances, he has plenty of reason to be anxious that could have nothing to do with guilt. He might simply be displeased with the idea of strangers rummaging through and taking things that belong to his possibly deceased wife.
Shakes.
would you like a bottle of water or anything? Okay.
Also, Michael's shakes are likely spurred on by intense levels of anxiety and shock that he's experiencing. Shaking is a common physical reaction to bad news. During this break in the interview, CPD officers made a beeline for Michael's residence to execute their search. They scanned the exterior of the property before thoroughly searching the inside of the Parks home for any clues as to where Hope might have gone on the night that she disappeared. What they would find in and around the Parks property would only raise more questions about Hope's disappearance. Questions that detectives hope Michael can answer for them. Following the break, detectives bring Michael back into the interrogation room in hopes that he may shed some light on their unexpected findings.
Do you know of anybody that would want to hurt her? You said she wasn't close to anybody else. I mean, somebody that would be.
She knows how to piss people off, I can tell you that.
She knows how to piss people off, or you know how to piss people off?
No, she knows how.
It's chilling that Michael can describe his wife.
So here he go doing it again. This is like literally every single time he gets in front of the detective, he is now destroying his wife's character. She knows how to get people ticked off. She, she's controlling. Like this is what he keeps on saying. And it's like, why are you trying to paint that whatever might have happened to your wife, it was of her own doing? That does not sound like a concerning, distressed husband who wants to know whether or not if his wife is alive or not. And is there any clues or any details? Did you actually even find anything at the house? Yes, I allowed you permission to go to the house, look at her things, look at everything and all the stuff like that. But it's just like, again, coming into the conversation, he is once again painting a narrative about his wife. That is very concerning. Why are you trying to vilify her when she's missing? If she's missing, most people who are missing are put in the victim category. Why not let that go through the process, if anything? But no, instead, he wants to continue to vilify his wife. It's weird. It's just so weird. Let's see. I'm driving, so I can't chat, but I'm listening to the stereo. Oh, no problem, Brucey. Be careful now. Be careful, okay? Let's see. She cut off her own head and dumped her own body. Right, exactly. Like, this is so weird. And again, like, he haven't even brung up whether or not if she's alive or not. So, oh yeah, Joanne. Yeah. So as of right now, this guy's wife is missing. They found the body that was decapitated and limbs were broken on the side of the road. And now they're interrogating the husband, but his mannerisms and the way how he keeps on painting narratives about his wife being controlling, being able to push people buttons, and I guess doting on their immature, irresponsible son who won't get their shit together. This is the story or the framework that he decides to lead with while they're investigating what happened to his wife. Even by getting information that the body that they found has similar tattoos that he told the police that his wife has, he has not once said or asked to confirm whether or not if that's his wife and whether she's gone or if she's still alive. So this is what we're going through right now, Miss Joanne. Let's see. Hey, Happy, how you doing? Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday. I hope everything's well with you, sir. Hope everything's well. Duping said, hubby reported wife missing, body found, later headless, dumped. He reported her missing and said that she left in a stranger's car. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. Okay, where's my mods at? Mods King. I'm timing this person out. Listen, leave all that other stuff. Leave that out of here. Okay. I don't want to hear none of that foolishness right now. Okay. Hey, William, how you doing? Happy Saturday. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. It said, finally got to see my favorite show. MJ, congrats on the 100,000 followers mark. Couldn't find you on my phone or YouTube for nearly 2 weeks. Happy now to see you here again. Hey, MJ. William, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I have been MIA for 2 weeks. I've been super, super busy. A lot have changed. My mission has changed. So there's a lot of new things that's changing for me. I'm going to be on a new assignment. So it is what it is. But shout out to you, William. It's good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Let's go on a little bit more.
In such a shocking and insensitive way, right after she's been found so devastatingly mangled and discarded. Perhaps he's using a bit of humor to cope with his feelings. Or perhaps detectives are getting a peek into Michael's true feelings toward his wife.
Part of what we were looking for, and we found some blood at your house. Would there be any reason why there would be blood at the house?
The question of the blood is sprung on Michael quite suddenly, likely in the hopes that they'll catch him off guard in a lie. This is called a bait question. The detective will carefully observe Michael's behavioral responses to this question.
Me? I cut myself. My finger. I smashed my finger.
There was some blood located in the garage.
That would be when I smashed my finger. I was doing the transmission. And you say you saw the motor and stuff in there, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
See the truck? It's a badass truck.
The remark about his truck seems completely inappropriate given the circumstances. However, it's not uncommon for someone who's experiencing high levels of uneasiness to make out-of-place comments in a subconscious attempt to escape the situation.
So this is kind of where you need to kind of step up to the plate.
So y'all notice how he said that when he asked him about the blood, and it was, I guess, in the garage, he said that he smashed his hand or he smashed his finger. Normally, I don't know. Normally when you smash your finger, and I have smashed my finger numerous of times, unless it's a sharp area where you smash your finger at, you don't necessarily get blood, right? Is you have like a literal black and blue bruise on your hand. You know, your finger will probably really hurt. You probably might even have to wrap it up. So if they found blood, that means that is something recent and current. Why your hands look fine, sir? You're looking at your hands. You want to show the detectives your hands, like, yeah, I smashed my finger, but your hands doesn't look like it's been hurt recently. Your hands look completely fine. You've been using your hands for the past day now. The first time when they seen you till now, you wasn't complaining or saying, hey, your finger hurt or your hand hurt. You didn't go in there with your hand wrapped up, right? If it was bleeding, you should kind of have like a wound that would show that your hand was bleeding. That should have been wrapped up, but you don't have that. So that just goes to show that that was the first thing that came to mind, the quickest thing that he can use as to explain why was there any blood in the garage, in the back of the garage. But he should know that if you gave them permission to check, that means forensic was there. Forensic is going to check and see who blood that is. It's going to be quite funny when they find out the blood is not yours. It's your wife, right? But let's go on. Let's hear what else he has to say.
Tell us what happened. It was at your house that something happened to her.
Not with me.
There's nobody else that could have been.
I don't know what to tell you.
Michael simply shrugs off the detective's theory that he somehow took part in his wife's murder. A person in his position would typically react with some measure of shock or outrage at such an accusation. Michael, on the other hand, doesn't even seem interested in what they found inside his home or what the findings could possibly mean.
Saying I did something?
Yeah. And we're just trying to figure out, I mean, obviously, you're not a bad person. You work, you've got 2 kids with her, you've lived a long life with her.
This is a strategically placed pacifier since, if Michael becomes too upset, he might close himself off or request a lawyer. This would immediately end the interview. It's in the detective's best interest to keep Michael open and willing to answer questions.
I didn't do anything. I swear to God, I did not do anything.
Thank you so much, Shelley.
Swearing to God serves a similar function as a qualifier here. It's used as an attempt to add credibility to a statement that's otherwise hard to believe. This is called bolstering.
Well,
it sure is.
Part of it is.
Stupid.
I said, we went through the whole house. We found everything.
The detective is intentionally being vague about what investigators found at Michael's home in order to gauge Michael's reaction before the big reveal.
What's everything?
Her. The rest of her.
Okay.
So
what?
Her head. You know, we found everything.
This is a critical moment in the interrogation, but caught under.
So, this man's response of them now telling him that they found the rest of his wife in the house that you said she left alive from and hopped in some white truck with some random stranger, then why is your wife's head there? And why was her body somewhere else? And his expression to that information. Look at him. If you look at the screenshot, look at him. His expression is, "Oh my God, I got caught." His expression isn't, "Oh my God, my wife is dead. Are you kidding me? Oh, I can't believe it. My wife's head is, what the my wife was decapitated." That's not his expression. It's not like, "Oh my God, I'm about to throw up, I'm about to puke. I can't believe that." His whole thing is, "Holy shit. I'm fucked. I'm screwed. How am I going to explain this away? I look completely like the culprit now because I was the one who called 911. I was the one who said that my wife was missing. I was the one who told the detective that my wife and I got in an argument, and I watched her hop her ass into somebody's white truck and leave." This is not the reaction of someone who is innocent. I will just tell you that. This is not. This is a reaction of someone who know what happened, and they're quite concerned about their well-being at this point. Let's see. Dupin says, "Shocking for sure, didn't want to let her head go even after he..." And that does says a lot about him too, right? And how much he hated her. That you unalive her, but you wanted to keep her head as a shrine because that was a form of control for you. I had the last laugh. I had the last word. I was able to take your life away from you. And look, I still own you. I still possess you. And this is why I'm having your head like a souvenir. Does says a lot about him, and definitely how he felt about his wife. Is really shocking, really. Ashbar says someone forgot to take it out. No, he was just holding it as a shrine. Duping said he forgot to get rid of the evidence, though the police would believe his every word. I think that he didn't think that the police was going to actually ask him to, "Hey, can we go to your house and can we have permission to check and see what's going on, look at her stuff." I don't think he really necessarily thought that. He thought that him being the grieving, concerned husband was enough for them to not look at him as the suspect. Especially, he thought he covered his trails really well by saying that he saw her alive getting in somebody white truck and driving off after an argument. So I think that he didn't really think that was going to happen. Nothing. Never. Absolutely. Never, never, never. Thank you, Brucey. Truly appreciate you. Let's see. Whose wife? My wife, my Lord, y'all say it ain't so none of that. No, right, exactly. Exactly, Mr. Pokerus. Exactly. Ashbar said innocent till proven guilty, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they eventually are going to prove him guilty with DNA. Let's see. Yes, a trophy, but she's the controlling one. Right, exactly. Yeah, thank you. That's really sad that there's people with that malice. Yeah, I know. Hey, Miss Jalen, how you doing, sis? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Saturday. I hope everything's well with you. Hope it's well with you. Don't worry about the that there. I'm sorry you didn't get a notification. It's happening for some people. Some people are getting it, some are not. But I truly appreciate you being here. Definitely. Let's see. Yes, please double tap. Truly appreciate it. Hate Love says, "Sheena, yes, but I got to cut off for like 30 minutes when I came back. I didn't." Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to show you a personal conversation. William said, maybe thought if police found body, it would be harder to identify her without her head, given her teeth would confirm it was. I will understand that, William, but then again, then why would he tell the cops about her distinctive tattoos that she had on her body. He told them about 2 tattoos, and he told them where the location was. So he gave them identifiers about her. So if they found the body and where she had the tattoos were still there, and those are exactly where he said that his wife had tattoos, it beats the purpose of removing her head. I mean, tattoos are identifiers, right? Don't get me wrong. People do get similar. They do get similar tattoos out here, but to change it up and switch it up, they get it in different locations. Some get it under their arms, sometimes they get it between their fingers. People put it in different areas, and those are kind of identifiers, even if the tattoos are the same or maybe even similar. Let's see. All right, let's go on a little bit more. Let's see what they have to say.
The microscope of what should be a bone-chilling reveal, Michael's response is rather dull. There's no immediate reaction, and the reaction he does give seems to be one of exasperation rather than shock or concern. He exhales deeply, leans back, and, most notably, he covers his face once again, a move we've come to recognize as a possible attempt to hide something that the face might give away. Hope's head is perhaps the most incriminating thing that officers found inside the home. However, that's not all they found. An exterior search of the property yielded several blood smears and stains on the gravel in front of the garage door, in the grass next to their back patio, on the wood floor of the patio itself, as well as on the ramp that leads up to the patio. Blood smears as well as bloody footprints were found inside the garage. A bullet casing was also found in the grass near the patio. The interior of the home was reportedly very clean and well kept. That is, until officers got to the basement. Spots of blood were visible on the steps leading down into the foreboding cellar. Continuing down the stairs, it became apparent that there were drag marks in the shallow layer of dirt that covered the concrete basement floor. Large bloody zip ties and torn pieces of plastic were also found in several locations around the basement. Down there, among the dust and discarded equipment, officers made the most unsettling discovery of the investigation: Hope's severed head. It had been wrapped in plastic shopping bags, placed in a shallow hole in the floor, and covered in dirt and debris, hidden by a pile of flex ducts that had been arranged on top of the grave. Circumstantial evidence makes it apparent to everyone present that Michael had something to do with his wife's murder. However, there's not yet any physical proof that he is the one that hurt Hope.
So, and obviously you're not a bad person.
Okay, that's quite disturbing. You a messy son of a gun. Not only are you a vicious, cruel killer, like sick, you are messy. You had blood everywhere. You had blood in the grass. You had blood in the porch. You had blood leading down to the garage. You had blood there, blood there. And then on top of that, your dumbass going to keep her head as a souvenir, and you think that you're going to hide it down in the bottom under some pipes. And you left a whole trail of blood or body movement where you was putting something at. Is like... So my thing is, how are you going to actually really explain that? It seemed that whatever happened to Hope happened in the house. So that automatically makes you a liar when you said that you saw Hope alive and she got into someone's car and drove away. Whatever happened to Hope, and especially when they test to see who blood is, all of that being on the porch, in the backyard, down on the ground, in the garage, in the grass. When they test to see who blood is that, they're going to be like, all right, it's Hope's blood. So the act of the crime happened in the house. So where did Hope alive ever left this house? She never left the house. She never left the house. Like, I don't know how he's going to really explain that. But we'll see what he says. We'll see what he says. Let's see who else. Hi, Joseph. How are you doing? Happy Saturday. Duping said he didn't watch enough true crime, obviously. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Can't believe he kept her head in the house, too. Yeah, like, that's some weird, crazy stuff. Never trust a man with perfect craft. He wasn't good at crime scene cleaning either. No, absolutely not. He did not clean at all. He left all the evidence. All the evidence. It's weird. Will he blame the drug addicted son? You know what? It could be a possibility that he could. I mean, you remember from the first interview the way how he set up everything. He set it up as his son is a worthless nothing. He's a drug addict and he always want money. He doesn't want to get his life together. And then he blamed his wife, saying that she was coddling him and basically allowing him to destroy his life and all the stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised of it. But then the only reason why I would say that they might not ever think about the son doing it, because he already built the narrative that him and the son and the mom was really close, closer than he was to his own wife. Remember, his issue was that she was doting on him and not doting on her husband. So it doesn't make any sense for the son to viciously kill the only parent that is willing to do something for him, or the only parent that is allowing him to destroy his life or give him money for his drug addiction. It doesn't make any sense. Why would he remove that resource from him? So that would be the only reason why I say they wouldn't necessarily bring, even if he was to say, "Oh, it might be my son who did it." I wouldn't think it stick, because it would go completely against his original story about their relationship. Hate Love said, "Lock him up in the Diddy wing. He will never forget that face." I know, right? Ricardo said, "Did they have info on the time of the crime?" They haven't said anything yet about what time of the crime this happened. But I'm sure that they probably got the information to find out how long the body have been deceased. They probably found that once they found the body on the road. William says, killers always get caught out in their lies. Yeah, they do. I mean, especially the ones who are dumb. Yeah, definitely. Can't believe the amount of evidence he left behind for the police to find. He left everything. He left everything. It's quite sad. But that's, like I said, if you look at his body posture and his mannerism, it is not of a, "Oh my God, my wife died," and "Oh my God, it seemed like my wife died viciously. Someone literally mutilated her body." That's not his response. His reaction, by his body language is, "Oh my God, I'm caught. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to explain my way out of this to make it seem like I had nothing to do with this and that I'm a victim." That's what he's showing.
You've provided for your family. You've done. So what happened? What's next?
Here, the detective is suggesting a lighter version of events, that Michael simply snapped under the pressure of his controlling wife. This version paints him as a generally good person, maybe even as a victim himself. However, if Michael were to go along with this reasoning, he'd still be admitting to killing his wife.
I know what you're thinking, but no, it wasn't me. I'm sorry.
Who else could it be?
So remember what I told you. We all know that the detectives can fabricate, aka lie, about certain things, but truly is not necessarily a lie. What they do is they have the ability to throw out narratives and see if a person who is now feeling the heat that the story that they told is not working or is not believable, right? Now we're going to see if they're going to take the bait if we throw out a new narrative that makes them seem like they're the victim and it protects them. Are they going to cling to that? So that's what the detective did at that point. He's going to say, "Hey, are you the one who's abused? Did something happen? Did she come after you? Did I don't think you're a bad guy. I just think that something happened with, and it got out of control. Did you have a nervous breakdown? Did you take too much of your medication. Does your medication has anything about, you having, I guess, like a psychotic withdrawal? They'll start throwing things out there and seeing if this guy is going to say, yeah, I'm not a bad person. No, this person forced me to do this. I had no choice. I think I was taking alcohol with my pills, and I don't know, I kind of just blacked out and went red. Like, they want to see if they're going to take that narrative, because it will still prove whether or not, if they say yeah and they take the bait, you're still admitting that you did it. The excuse is just to soothe your ego. That is called the ego up approach. Let's see. William says, seems everything that the police tell him, they found it. Oh God, Dawn, I forgot about that. Or get rid of that. Right. Dupin says, I like that they give them an easy way out for them. Why they did things, and most of them will take it. Yeah, I agree too. Oh my goodness gracious. Can someone block that individual, please? Thank you very much. I told y'all to stop coming in here doing that. This is not that type of channel. There are a plethora of channels talking about a horrible situation. Please go find them. Okay? Let's go.
Talk to my son.
Michael has gone out of his way to paint his son in a negative light.
Right.
Now he's finally come out and said what he seems to have been implying. He claims that his son John is likely responsible for Hope's death.
I've told you we've had people come to the house. My neighbors know about it.
Yeah, I've talked to him quite a bit today. But part of it too, you're telling your son, if he's screwing up, then, you need to step up to the plate. And if you screwed up, you need to step up to the plate.
Yes, I understand.
There's nobody that's going to hurt your wife like you would hurt her. And that's what happened to her.
It wasn't me. No.
Before Michael denies involvement this time, we catch a brief moment of hesitation, as if he's thinking about something before he seems to snap back. He then makes several sudden movements. He shifts his legs, buttocks, and back, all three anchor points that we discussed earlier. Michael's denial is rather weak, using one-word answers and looking away. An innocent person would be forceful and adamant with their denial when being accused of murdering their wife. He's likely reflecting on his decisions up until this point and weighing his options.
The next person I need to talk to is your daughter. I'm going to explain to you.
Talk to my daughter.
We'll have a seat, sir.
The detective instructs Michael to sit back down to reassert his authority and for safety reasons, as he wants to be able to see him. Michael's resolve is visibly wearing down under the pressure. Pacing is notoriously a nervous act, an effort to release nervous energy and ease mounting tension.
Something happened to her that night, and something happened to her at your house. You were the only one there at your house that night.
I guess this is the part where I need a lawyer, because you're not listening to me.
To invoke one's right.
Not him wanting a lawyer now. Like, dude, now you want a lawyer? You want to... What you should have done is gotten a lawyer the first time, especially if you're going to be a demonic creature and hold your wife's head as a souvenir in the house. Then you wouldn't have had them go and search. But because your ego is too big and you felt that you was in your right to do that to your wife, that's why you was like, yeah, go ahead, go to my house. Everything's okay. Remember, I'm the grieving husband. And I have already painted the narrative about my wife being controlling and allowing our son to be a degenerate. And, she doesn't listen and she knows how to push buttons, like You should have been asked for a lawyer. Matter of fact, you should have asked for a lawyer as soon as they told you that they found something at the house, and before they started telling you what they actually found at the house. That phrase right there, you should have been like, this conversation is over. I'm going to go get a lawyer now. Since you said that you found something at my house, I don't feel comfortable continue to have this conversation with you because I don't know what you found at my house. And I don't want to be involved with it. I want to make sure that I'm protecting myself under the law. That's what you were supposed to have said. But you didn't say that. You didn't say that. So I don't know what he thinks that now asking for the lawyer is going to help him, because they already have all the evidence that they need. They already bagged up and got everything wrapped up, taking it down to the labs, getting it, getting it all set. They also going to find out whether or not if your fingerprints is on anything. They're going to look for your fingerprints too, right? They're going to look and see if is there any DNA on you, right? Or your DNA, have your DNA actually been spilled? They're going to check her corpse and see did she fight you? When this was happening, before it happened, did she scratch you? Did she get some of your DNA under her fingernails? They're going to do all that. So yeah, you can go ahead and ask for a lawyer now. It's not going to really help you, buddy. It's not really going to help you. But let's go on. He wants a lawyer now.
Right to an attorney, the suspect should unequivocally declare that they want to speak to an attorney. However, if the suspect gives a more ambiguous remark about obtaining counsel, most courts require the interrogator to inquire further to clarify their desire. Michael has not yet stated clearly that he wants legal representation.
I guess this is the part where I need a lawyer.
Therefore, detectives can legally continue to question him, but ideally should have clarified if he was requesting counsel or not before continuing. Otherwise, they risk the rest of his statements being inadmissible.
I'll answer your questions. I'm just saying, I didn't do this.
Okay.
And you can ask me this 100 times, and I'm still going to tell you, I did not do this.
You're the only one at the house. You're the only one who can know what happened to your wife. Okay? You didn't mean to do this to her.
I appreciate you.
Michael's body language indicates that he's shut down. The protective position of his arms across his body is a self-soothing behavior that indicates that he's closing himself off from the situation, likely due to sheer discomfort and stress.
So we're trying to ask you, how did she lose parts of her body in your house?
No clue.
He got his hands crossed.
No, I do not.
There's nowhere else for us to look. There's nowhere else for us to go. There's nobody else to talk to about this. But
I mean, I want a lawyer.
And just like that, the interview is over.
Yep.
This time, Michael has clearly communicated his desire to speak to a lawyer. The detectives are no longer allowed to ask him any more questions.
Plastic and stuff, Janice. Happy Saturday.
It's better after.
Over the next 10 minutes, Michael attempts to make conversation with the detective who's no longer inclined to speak with him, since the detective can't question him any further. After the detective refuses to allow Michael another smoke break, Michael gets up and begins to anxiously pace the room once more. When he sits back down, he sits on the side of the couch that's the farthest from the detective. This clearly communicates his desire to escape the situation as soon as possible. Finally, the silence is broken by a police officer who has come to put Michael in handcuffs. His hopes of removing himself from the situation are dashed.
You guys got this all wrong.
Can't talk to you anymore, but
Michael makes one last plea of innocence, but detectives are no longer feeding into it. He's escorted to a holding cell by a pair of armed police officers. However, this isn't the last that detectives will hear from Michael. Over the next few days, officers continue to investigate the Parks' home and cars, follow up on potential leads, and speak to the couple's friends and family members. Detectives have lost hope of getting any valuable information out of Michael. That is until 4 days later, when he unexpectedly requests to speak to detectives again without a lawyer present.
Hey there, Mr. Parks. Sure you remember me from the other day.
So now I'm wondering, why do he want to speak to the detectives now? Is he feeling some type of guilt? Is he mad or concerned that his children now looks at him and depict him as a murderer? Or is he looking for a plea deal or in some type of way or fashion? Or is he going to throw somebody else under the bus, about this situation, and the feeling that he had the fear for his life, and this is why he couldn't tell you who actually did this, but he knew who did this, but they told him not to say anything or they're going to harm him and his children. And he figured that since his wife is already dead already, why do the rest of us have to suffer? I want to know what would be the new reason why he's now requesting to speak with them when it was all about a lawyer. Or was it because his lawyer was like, nah, but I'm not taking this fucking case. You're going to lose. We're going to lose this case. They're going to throw the book at you. We don't know what state you're in. You're probably going to be on death row, but I'm not taking this case. It has to be something of that sort. So I'm definitely wondering what it's going to be. Royce said pseudo-intellectualism doesn't serve any good use. You know what? I think so. It's entertaining, but yeah. Will he confess and make a made-up excuse for why? Yeah, I'm wondering. Ricardo said, damn, that analysis on the minimal body language is so good. You can see the struggles of the mind. Yeah, you could definitely tell when someone is really struggling. It's subconsciously. Ash Bar said, I think he also has the mother in the garden. Yeah. Well, who mother? Or his wife? No, they only found her head. They found her body on the road. Not too far from their house, though, Ash Bar. But let's see what he has to say.
Okay. This interview takes place the following Monday.
It was Tuesday. I got off work early at 3:30. I was home by 4:15. Kids came over. Like I said, that was not a lie. We were arguing, like I said, over my son. I was on the back porch after everybody left. I was going to shoot a groundhog. I had groundhogs in the backyard. I knew it. My neighbor does. He never came back. I went to discharge the gun. I shot 3 rounds into the tree. I went in the house. I was going to clean the gun. I sat at the kitchen table. It went off. There was still 1 round in it. She hit the floor. She was fixing dinner, and I panicked. I just flat out panicked. I didn't know what to do.
In the state of Indiana, accidentally killing someone doesn't make a person guilty of murder. To be considered a murder, the prosecution must prove that the killing was intentional. Therefore, if detectives accept Michael's version of events, then the most Michael can be charged with in the state of Indiana would be reckless homicide.
Yo, this husband is diabolical. So let me reframe this. This is a psychopath, ladies and gentlemen. This is literally someone who's actually a serial killer. And it seems like his first dealings with this is with his poor wife to see if he can get away with it. Who knows, or who would have thought that maybe he did speak to a lawyer and they told him, if you say that you accidentally killed her and because you was afraid, that's why you did all that mutilation and all that stuff to her, and that if they consider that that is the truth, you will only get manslaughter and not life in prison or the death penalty. But that is crazy if he's taking this route. And I think that he will take this route because there's too many damaging evidence against him. Too many damaging evidence against him that he was the cause of his wife's death. But now when he can make it seem like it was an accident, and then everything that he did afterward was out of fear, anxiety, and all that stuff like that, he didn't know how to explain it. he's hoping that they will take that into consideration. My thing is that I wouldn't buy it. And I hope that no jury, judge, prosecutor, I hope no one take that as, yeah, this was an accident. Because to me, even if it was an accident, why mutilate her body in such a horrible way? Why take the opportunity for her to have a proper burial, a proper going away from her children, let alone her family members and stuff? Like, she's not even going to be able to have an open casket, right? Her body is completely mutilated. Her head is completely mutilated. Why would you take that away from her or her loved ones if you supposedly did it on accident? You didn't mean to unalive her. And then I don't understand that too. Like, you have a weapon, you quote unquote said you use it to shoot at gophers and whatever not that be around each other's house or the neighbor's house. So you should have a better, I would say, better control over a weapon, right? So now all of a sudden you don't have control. You're negligent, and then your wife is unalive. I doubt it. I doubt it, sir. No, this is not going to fly. It's not going to fly. Nice try though. Nice try, but it's not going to fly. Nope, it's not. Duping said, why would you hide an accidental death and not seek help? Exactly. Exactly. Wow, he is crazy. He is. He sure is. What? Yep. You heard him. You heard him yourself. Wasn't the one bullet casing found in the yard not 3 to 4? He's a liar. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They have to prove now premeditation. Yeah, they do. And I think that they can prove it too. Is he trying to make out he's crazy? No, I don't really think necessarily he's going for the crazy. Excuse me. He's not. See, he doesn't seem like he's going for the crazy case. Not yet. He's just trying to go on the basis of this was an accident. No blood in the kitchen either. Right, exactly. So if there was no blood in the kitchen, all the blood leads from the garage to outside of the yard, then how did you just sit the gun down at the table after shooting off some gophers and another a bullet hit her? Like, then that would have happened inside the kitchen or whatever area that she was in. So yeah, a lot of his stuff doesn't make sense if you really think about it. It doesn't make sense at all. I try not to lead with my emotions. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. All they got to do is get a neighbor or family friend to say something that will pull the final nail in his coffin. You know what's so funny? They already interviewed the neighbors and everything like that. They want to see whether or not if he's going to get a confession. This is why they allowed him to go through with the request, and they came back to speak with him, because if he gets a confession, that's like a sealed deal, right? That's a sealed deal for the prosecutor. Now they could just determine what they're going to charge him with, right? But he's not going to be wiggling out of it. All detectives and all of them want that clear, I confess. They want that confession, right? Men are not supposed to emotionally react. We are supposed to mentally respond. Well, I would not necessarily say that, because men have emotions just as much as anybody else. And emotions is not a negative thing. It's how you utilize your emotions, really. He's trying to lessen his guilt, having had a few days to think up the story and considering your lawyer's advice, trying to concoct a narrative. I agree, William. I agree. Yes. No, Judy, don't be a criminal. Must be a 6-foot high table to hit her in the head. Right. Exactly. He said, hate loves, and I'm also a criminal. A smooth criminal. Doom, doom, doom. I know, right? Ricardo said, I believe so bad on second chances, but how can you forgive someone who ends the life of someone he's professes to love, right? I mean, second chances is how can I put it? Second chances, it has to be for certain situations and certain individuals, and it really can't be something that can be generalized and broadened, because there's certain things that people do and you can pin out the intent initially that you shouldn't really be able to forgive, right? But let's go on. Let's hear the rest of his story.
Even then, in order to win a reckless homicide charge, the prosecution would have to prove that Michael was acting recklessly, and that his recklessness somehow led to Hope's death.
There's blood everywhere. I covered it up. I picked everything up. I cleaned the mess up. I put it in the garbage. Everything else is just kind of a blur.
If Hope's death was an honest accident, it doesn't make logical sense that he would try to cover it up. Typically, when someone has accidentally hurt another, especially someone they love, their first move would be to call for help or to take some action to try to save their life. Michael, on the other hand, didn't even try to correct his supposed mistake. To make matters worse for detectives, Michael's story not only features unlikely details, but also missing details or blurs the detectives have to uncover. His recount is seeming more unreliable as it unfolds.
What do you do after that?
I sat there and I cried. I thought about everything that was going on with fighting, with John, with the gun. Nobody was going to believe me.
Michael has gotten to what is supposedly a very emotional and traumatic moment in his story. Therefore, it's odd that he recounts it with little emotion. His lack of emotional reaction over the course of the interviews is noteworthy.
I didn't know what to do. I'm sorry I lied.
No, that's fine. Now here's a chance for you to tell us what happened. So,
Shout out to Ricardo for becoming a part of the Let's Talk About It community. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy your membership. I will be doing membership content real soon. So thank you, sir. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And thank you so much again, Ricardo, for the $2 super chat. I truly appreciate you. He said, thank you for your great content. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you. And thanks you, everyone who is sitting out and rocking with me. I know it is Saturday, and I truly appreciate it. I really do, guys. Really, really do. But I want to say something about this. You notice how he haven't had any emotions about finding out that his wife is not alive anymore. He haven't had any emotions about finding out how gruesome his wife's body has been mutilated. He haven't showed any emotions about finding her head and blood and all that stuff at his house of residence, right? He haven't showed any emotions about that. But now the only time he wants to show emotions is when he's like, I messed up, I was scared, I was nervous. Now you're showing emotion, and it shows that even through all of this, it's still about him and himself. He have not given a damn about this woman this whole entire time, even with more evidence peeling out to him about what happened to her. Everything has been framed as in what is going on with me. I felt this way. I was scared. I was nervous. This is hurting me. My wife was hurting me. My son's getting on my nerves. Everything was framed into only him. It's his world, and everybody else is a squirrel in it. I just wanted to definitely point that out. Definitely point that out.
she's on the floor. You're upset, obviously. What did you do at that point?
I wrapped her in a tarp and took her down to the basement. I cleaned everything up.
By telling detectives how he moved the body and cleaned the scene, Michael might have just unknowingly admitted to tampering with evidence. Even if he does secure himself a lesser murder charge, the prosecution could potentially use that information against him to get him more jail time.
When you took her downstairs, you said you wrapped her up in a tarp.
What was the blue tarp?
Michael covers his face entirely with his hand, and his voice breaks as if he's crying. It doesn't seem that there are any other indicators of genuine emotion, though. No sniffles, tears, or heavy breathing. If this is an attempt to feign sadness, it's a rather lackluster one. It's more likely that this performance is an excuse to hide his face, which Michael has proven to do when he's lying.
I know about guns and what people tell me, so I'm just regurgitating information as far as...
That's the only gun I've ever fired.
Okay. The closer you are to something or somebody, you get more residue, and the further away, the less residue you get when you fire the gun. So she seemed to have some residue around the entry wound. So that would indicate that the gun would be closer.
Thank you so much, Sheena. I truly appreciate it.
4 or 5 feet.
This single piece of evidence puts a rather large hole in Michael's story.
Right.
If Michael can't bridge this gap between his story and the evidence, it would be nearly impossible for Michael's attorneys to prove that the shooting was accidental.
Right.
Me to be able to help.
William,
Gotta know I don't know how close she was standing. I know that she was getting ready to fix dinner. That's all I know. And I sat down. I had the gun in my hand. That's when it went off. I'm telling you, I did not do it deliberately.
Michael likely knows that he's in a deep hole right now,
Hey,
since his
Gina,
assertion that he
how
didn't
are you?
deliberately shoot his wife
you
isn't said
again.
with much
Happy
conviction.
Saturday.
On the contrary, it seems there are notes of desperation in his voice. He needs detectives to believe his story, yet he's likely very aware that his defense of "I don't know" isn't helping his case at all.
The doctor and the gun shop, he actually
I don't know how you
put in his report that it was a contact wound, which means the barrel was close to the skin when it went off.
Then maybe she was closer than what I thought.
Now that detectives are back on the topic of the gunshot wound, Michael is
I'm sorry. I'm sitting up here talking on mute. My bad. My bad. I was just talking. What I was saying on mute. Sorry about it, guys. What I was saying on mute is that he's being defensive. He has his arms crossed again and under his arms. That is a coping mechanism and also a defense. So there's also things that he's not being forthcoming, even in this confession that he's trying to do or trying to give them. He's not trying to really tell the truth either. They're telling him that the residue that was found on her body, the corpse, had more gun residue than it was really supposed to be on her. They're saying that the residue that was found on her means that the gun was shot really close to her, within 5 feet or 2 feet. So it wasn't he had the gun on the table and he forgot that there was one in the chamber, and when he went to go clean the weapon, it popped off and then she got shot from the kitchen, because she wouldn't have had that much gun residue on her if it was even a somewhat of a distance away, 7, 8 feet away, 10 feet away. She wouldn't have had that much gunpowder on her. But the simple fact that there was a lot of gunpowder found on her body, that means that you shot at close range. So again, lying, and getting caught in your lie. And this is why I like the way how the detectives are, how they're adding in evidence after certain things that this suspect is saying, because now you're going to see their reaction to other evidence that they didn't think that you're going to see how their demeanor completely changed. 1 minute it's supposed to be an accident. Now she has enough gun residue on her that makes them believe that you pulled the gun on her at point range. You was literally up on her when you shot her. So this is crazy. And I'm sorry, guys. I know y'all seen it. My apology. Nothing wrong with the video. Nothing's wrong with my mic. I was just muted when I was talking. I was muted when I was talking, so I apologize for that. Because couldn't take his lies anywhere. No, they couldn't. They couldn't take his lies any further. He thought about a way that if he's clever, you can't dispute close contact wounds and stifling. Yeah. Well, let's go on. Since they told him that little bit information.
His arms tightly around himself. This is a protective position that may be Michael's attempt at self-soothing. It's clear that Michael is uncomfortable with this subject, very possibly because he doesn't have an answer for it.
So if you're at the table and she's at an angle, can I get some more?
It seems that Michael might be asking for some water to create a break in the conversation, perhaps to buy himself time to think of a sufficient answer to the detective's questions.
There's going to be two schools of thought on this. One, somehow you tragically shot her with the muzzle of the gun touching the back of her head. Or two, there was a disagreement, there was an argument, and a snap.
There was no
bad judgment. No argument after everybody left.
No argument.
Were you still just upset from the argument earlier? It's just people on the outside looking in.
I don't care what anybody else thinks. The whole thing was shooting her. If she was where she was standing, I don't know. If she was right there, I don't know. I did not stick the gun to the back of her head and pull the trigger.
Excuse me? Are you dumb? You gotta be... It's over for you. You shot her in the back of the head. Remember the head that you took as a souvenir that you removed from her body? So now that they have retrieved the head, they see a bullet hole in the back of her head. You could not have shot her in the back of the head with the gun sitting on the table. You couldn't have done that. And again, they found a lot of gunpowder residue on her head. That lets you know that the gun went off close to her head. And you're sitting up here and you're saying you don't know whether if she was near it, whether or not how do you not know if she was close to you or not? What was you doing when the gun was sitting on the table? What was you doing? Was you looking to the left? And you was like, yeah, I'm going to look to the left and I'm going to clean my, and I'm going to clean my, no, that's not what you did. You didn't do anything like that, sir. You literally walked up behind her and you shot that woman in the back of her head. And then you proceeded to mutilate her body. That's what you did. That's what you did. So that whole story of the Gophers situation, and that was the reason why you even had your weapon out from the beginning, is all bull crap. Because then if that's the case, your neighbors can confirm that you was out there shooting gophers or raccoons and stuff that comes into the neighborhood and goes under your house or goes under the neighbor's house. They can confirm that they saw you outside shooting and you went back in the house. I have not once heard them say that the neighbors can confirm that. And then now your story of now you don't know whether or not if your wife was 5 feet away from you, 10 feet away from you, was she actually in the kitchen and you were sitting in the living room table? Like, and then you can't even You can't even justify why she had that much gunpowder residue on her head or found on her body. You can't even justify that. Because I best believe it didn't happen with you just shooting from the fucking table. That doesn't happen that way. It's nerve-wracking how much he's still trying to pull the sheet over these detectives' heads, but certain things doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. We know how much gunpowder can get on you if you're shot close range. And we know how much gunpowder can be found on you if you're shot from a certain distance. They can detect that, right? Then it's the positioning of where she was shot at. I can understand, like, if let's say the gun accidentally went off and it shot her in the chest, it shot her in the back, it shot her on the side of her neck, certain things of that sort. But when it's shot literally in the back of her head, and I'm assuming he shot her right here where it was connected to her spinal cord, that's deliberate. That's not accidental. It's not accidental at all. It's sad. It's really sad that he's still trying to convince them that he didn't do it and it was an accident. He's a full-on demon. Yes, he is a full-on demon. Evil for sure. Absolutely. Evil for sure. Let's go on with his lies. And now he thinks that by putting on glasses is going to make him more human and also intelligent.
I did not do that.
And all I'm telling you is the science proves differently.
Then she was closer than what I thought.
That's a lot closer.
That's all I can say.
Okay. You didn't want her to die.
No.
But circumstances led to her death. What was the mental capacity of you at the time? Were you so enraged from an earlier argument that she mouthed off something and you don't know what you did?
The detective is offering Michael a way out by suggesting that his actions were simply triggered by something that his wife might have said. This shifts some of the blame onto his wife, which may make it easier for Michael to admit his part in what happened.
Kind of a Tasmanian devil kind of event after she's on the ground. You lost it. And it's okay to tell me that because that shows emotion.
And before he came in, that was the one thing that I was trying to figure out what happened. The hamburger, if she's down here.
I think I'm the one that knocked it off the stove.
Can you tell us what's going on when that hamburger gets knocked off the stove?
Yeah, I think I called myself an idiot. The you do?
By recalling what specific words he used at the time, he might be trying to draw attention away from what actually caused the hamburger to be knocked off the stove, such as a fight or struggle.
Ever been a problem with that rifle's trigger and going off when you didn't want it to, or?
Not that I know of, no. I didn't even have it that long.
Okay.
Maybe a week and a half.
The fact that Michael had only been in possession of the rifle for such a short period of time could be used as evidence against him in court.
Yeah, they definitely better use that against him in court to give him more, to rack up on the time that he needs to serve from this vicious crime that he committed. Because if you went and only had that weapon for only like a week and a half, there goes your premeditation right there. You specifically went and got a gun to harm your wife. You didn't have a gun or always had a gun like you're a regular gun owner because you like guns. That's not your story. You went and purposely got a gun for a particular reason, and it wasn't for the damn gophers. Because I'm sure that depending how long you've been living in this house, depending how long you and your wife been living in this house, it seemed like y'all raised your children in this house. So I'm thinking you definitely been in this house more than 15 years. You always knew that you had a raccoon or a vermin problem. So if your solution is to shoot the vermin to get them away from your house, or for them to stop going up under your house and destroying your grass or flowers or whatever, then you would have had a weapon a long, long time ago for that. But now you just admitted that you went and got this a week ago. Sir, sit down. Sit down. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself. Despicable.
The prosecution could make the case that it was reckless of Michael to be wielding a loaded firearm that he wasn't familiar with indoors, especially next to a family member. The detective begins questioning Michael about the details related to dismembering his wife.
I mean, she's got, none of us are young anymore, so I mean, your skin doesn't stay like it should. So each drag, did like just the muscle and the skin go with it?
I don't even remember doing
I
it.
don't remember that part. Yeah. And that's the brain again, trying to protect you from typically the goriest, most traumatic parts.
Another benefit of Michael's selective memory defense is that he doesn't have to disclose the gory details of what it was like to cut off his wife's head. He could be under the impression that giving those details would only serve to make him appear more like a cold-blooded killer.
There is no way that the gunshot happened the way you're presenting it. So this is the time.
Like I said, I don't remember exactly how it happened. I'm telling you, I did not do it on purpose.
Didn't kill her on purpose or didn't shoot her on purpose?
I didn't shoot her on purpose.
The detective's question implies that Michael might have intended to shoot Hope without intending to actually kill her. However, under Indiana law, this is actually somewhat of a false dichotomy. Murder in Indiana is classified as any killing done purposefully or knowingly. Here, knowingly means taking action without the specific intent to kill a person, but nonetheless with knowledge that death is substantially certain to occur. Since the evidence from Hope's autopsy proves that Michael shot his wife at point-blank range, even if he didn't exactly intend to kill her, Michael could still be convicted of murder simply because he was knowledgeable that such an action would almost certainly result in her death.
It just happened.
So, in your opinion, would you call that just recklessness? It was just, I mean, because if you've got it up in the air, nobody's going to say, well, I mean, you couldn't have shot her if it was laying on the table facing down the hallway.
Reckless, yes.
Unbeknownst to him, under Indiana law, Michael has just admitted to reckless homicide.
The conversation we were having at the time was over John. With the insurance, the car insurance. Because she lied to me over the car insurance. She told me that she was going to cancel the insurance.
This detail makes the circumstances surrounding Hope's death much different. He's admitted that he and his wife actually were arguing at the time he was in the kitchen with the gun, whereafter she turned around and walked away. This version of events shows an obvious motive and opportunity for Michael to shoot her in the back of the head. It makes you wonder what else Michael has lied about thus far.
Are you a fist-pounding kind of guy when you're mad? You're like, damn it, woman, just do what I'm asking you to do. And the gun was in your hand, unfortunately, at that time. Squeeze reflex?
Yes. I don't remember everything. But what you said makes sense. Like I said, that it was not intentional.
Michael seems to finally be resigning himself to some explanation.
So Michael's actually breaking now. He's breaking, and because he's desperate, he is now taking the bait of the detectives. Now, anything that the detectives throwing out, he's like, yes, I think that's possible. I think that, that's exactly what happened. She wasn't listening. She said that she was going to cancel their insurance. I was just like, frustrated. And it was just, my hand just kind of just like, pushed on or pressed on the trigger. And that's what happened. Any type of loophole that they're giving him, he's now taken. This is completely different than what he was doing in the beginning. In the beginning, when he thought that he was safe and he would just stick to his story, even when they threw out the bait, he was like, I know what y'all doing. I know what y'all trying to point it out, but I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do nothing to my wife. I don't know what happened to my wife. But now, since he has nowhere to go, but just work on the charges, work on how long he's going to get jail time, because he knows he's going to get jail time. He's more concerned about that. That is what he's more concerned about. Williams said he planned it all along. No doubt in my mind, cold-blooded through and through. No mitigating circumstances here. I completely agree with you, William. Duping said he knows he can't get out with those lies so far. Take an easy way out. Yeah. It absolutely taking the bait. Yeah, he sure is taking the bait. Absolutely. Premeditated for sure. Purchased that gun right beforehand. He did a week before. Clutching to any straw he can to stop or get out of being culpable of her murder. Yeah. I think, like I said, I know he knows that he's going to get time because he has the nice little reddish orange jumpsuit on, right? But he's trying to make sure that he can get the least amount of time. And if he just get reckless manslaughter, depending on how Indiana wants to handle it, he could probably get like 10 years, 12 years. And that's always better than getting life in prison or the death penalty. But like I said, the whole mutilating of his wife's body, the taking her head, removing her head off her body and literally storing it in a makeshift grave down in the garage as like some trophy. Yeah. It's not looking good for you, bud. And I'm glad it is not looking good for you, really.
Of how he shot Hope, probably after realizing that detectives weren't going to back down until his story matched the evidence.
I just want to know why. Because that's the same thing you're going to want to know. Same thing your daughter wants to know. When your son wisens up, it's the same thing he's going to want to know.
I know why it happened. I can never tell him. I can't do that to him. Because that's the reason why I pulled the trigger. Not intentionally.
Again, Michael cites his son as the reason for his plight. However, this is the first time he's
not him saying that was the reason why I pulled the trigger. I can't tell him because that's the reason why I pulled the trigger. So you pulled the trigger because you wanted your son not to have a support system. You pulled the trigger because you didn't want your son to have his mom be his ride or die or be the concerning parent. Whether or not if she was babying him and stuff like that, we don't necessarily know because this is all coming from his mouth. And obviously, I'm not going to believe anything that comes out his mouth, especially someone who's a gruesome serial killer and the way that he was and what he did to his wife. I don't give a, excuse my French, I don't give a damn what comes out of your mouth at this point. Obviously, you were jealous of your son. You didn't like the fact that he had a close relationship with his mother the way that he did. You felt like she was doing for him and wasn't doing for you, which is weird because how can you be jealous of your own son? How can you be jealous of the motherly bond between a son and a mother? Do you understand, like, the bond between a son and a mother is divine? It's very similar to the bond between a daughter and a father. It's divine connection. And you're jealous of that. You're completely jealous of that. That is insane. Let's see. Reason, but he did it unintentionally. Right. Roy said he's quite a genius mastermind. Yeah. I love that you're being, sarcastic, Royce. Problem child. Janice says just admitted it was premeditation. He did. Hey, money, namigo rengeko. Shout out to you. Duping said gun didn't go off by accident. He pulled the trigger. He did. He just admitted he did. He said that the reason why he did it was because of his son. You literally said it was because of your son. That's crazy. He gets lower and lower as a person. He does, William. What he did after he killed her is nothing short of demonic. Probably a satanic sacrifice. Is so evil. It's on the lines of that, really. I would definitely say that. Lost his temper with her because she refused to cancel the car insurance. Clearly the motive. Right. No, I'm going to talk as much as I want, Ola. Thank you very much. This is how my dad is. It's crazy. Wow, that's crazy, Wesley. That's crazy. It's a reaction and a commentary. Yeah. All right, let's go on. We're at the end anyway.
Specifically said that John is the reason that he killed his wife. He quickly tries to backtrack, though the statement implies that Michael is probably more aware of the reason behind Hope's death than what he's letting on. He may have slipped up due to stress and fatigue from the long interrogation. After 4 long hours, the interrogation is now over. Michael is escorted from the interrogation room without further incident. Following his interview, Michael was moved to Montgomery County Jail, where he sat for almost 2 years. He was scheduled to stand trial in front of a jury on May 9, 2022. That is, until investigators made a single haunting find that would spell doom for Michael's case. It was discovered that prior to Michael murdering his wife, he'd been doing online research on the effectiveness of bottle silencers. Bottle silencers are makeshift gun silencers constructed simply from plastic bottles. Not only that, but he'd also looked into whether pillows could be used to muffle gunfire. This discovery proved that the murder of 44-year-old Hope Parks was indeed premeditated, and under Indiana state law, crushed all possibility of Michael receiving anything less than a murder charge. On May 6, 2022, just 3 days before he was scheduled to stand trial,
Brucey,
Michael changed his plea
here.
from not guilty to guilty and accepted a negotiated plea deal. On May 9th, Michael Parks was found guilty of the murder of his wife, Hope Parks. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison without the possibility of parole. We reached out to Michael through email to see if he would be willing to share his side of the story and answer some of our questions about the case. At first, we didn't hear back, but when Michael finally responded, he stated that he would only participate in a discussion if we met his list of demands, including $300 to be put into his commissary account and for a fan and a television, specifically 36 inches or more, to be shipped to his facility. We did not agree to any of these terms.
Thank you.
And are still waiting to hear back if Michael will speak with us. Michael is set to be released in 2070 when he is 94 years old.
Oh my goodness. First of all, I would have given him I'm glad they didn't, but the nerve of you to be saying, oh, here's my demands. I want $300 in my commissary. I want a TV and I want a fan if you want to have an interview with me. You know what? Fuck you in your fucking interview. Nobody needs to hear anything from you, you murderous bastard, right? You brutalized and murdered your wife viciously. You took the mother of your children away from them. You mutilated her body that she couldn't even have an open casket and people couldn't even say their farewells to her properly, right? According to whatever religion or traditions of that family. You took that away from her, and you really think that somebody give a damn about your fucking demands? That made me sick. I can't believe he had a nerve to do that. I'm glad that he got a good amount of time. I would have gave him life in prison if I was the judge. I would have gave him death penalty. He deserved the death penalty, right? That's what he really did deserve. But he took a plea deal at the end by giving the guilty, and they gave him 50 years. I don't even think 50 years. I mean, 50 years is a long time, but just because you're 94 years old doesn't mean that you're still not no murderous, vicious, dangerous person. You still are, right? This is that psycho strength. You could be 94 and still be calculated and dangerous. I would have put him on death row. That's what I would have done. But that case was horrible. It was really, really gruesome and disgusting. Rest in peace to that lady. And prayers to her family. It's terrible that's something like that happened to her, and then for it to be the person that you married, the person that you gave children to hate you that much, to do something like that is really, really demonic and shameful. Very shameful. Let's see. Yes, it was. It was. Shout out to you. That was the clip. Excellent. Very good. Yes, exactly. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, William and Brucey. I truly, truly appreciate you. Let's see. To be the nerve of the guy trying to profit off his crime. Yeah, that's really crazy, right? The nerve of him. Well, okay, if you don't care what I have to say, you can leave. Bye-bye. Not you talk about Candace Chiefs. Hey, Brandon, how are you? Happy Saturday. Hey, Lord, how are you doing? Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday to you. Let's see. Brucey said, chat, I know it's getting close to the best holiday every invented, but just because you're crazy, you can't be crazy here. You will be removed. Thank you, Brucey. Right. We don't play that over here. There's no, there's no second chances over here, right? I appreciate you. I appreciate you duping. Thank you so much. All right, good folks. So I do have another case for you. Please make sure you're hitting the like button for me. Truly appreciate it. Please share this out to anyone who is interested in reviewing these old cases and doing commentary on it. And if you have any other cases that you want me to review, at the end of the live stream, you can put it down in the comment section. I will review them. I will put it on the list, and then we will go over them later on down the road on this channel. And if you would like to financially support, you can always financially support. You can send a super chat. You can send a super gift, as some individuals today have done. Or you can also send a financial support to the Cash App. I have it scrolling down on the bottom. Anything that you would like to send, I would truly, truly appreciate it. But I really do just appreciate your involvement, especially the ones who are talking and conversing in the chat. Y'all make the channel the way it is. So I really do appreciate your commentary. So the next one that I have for you good folks is, I think I could go with this one. Okay. So this one is about another husband. It seems husbands are wilding out these days. But you know what? Tell you the truth, everybody's wilding out these days. People are just a little crazy. But in this case, the husband does something only a killer would do. So I thought this was interesting. Shout out to Stay Awake. That's one of my favorite video essayist channels to get these type of crimes to review with you guys from. So shout out to them. We're going to take a look at this because I thought this was very interesting. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen, and here we go.
What you are watching is body cam footage recorded by Coleman County Sheriff's deputies as they responded to a report of a woman that had been shot in the head. When they arrived on the scene, 37-year-old Jason Crawford was waiting for them on the driveway next to his family van. Inside the van, officers found 32-year-old Tiffany Crawford slumped over in the driver's seat.
Who is it? It's my wife.
She had 2 visible gunshot wounds, one to the left side of her chin and the other to her left temple. They immediately asked Jason where the gun was and checked Tiffany for a pulse.
Where's the gun, sir? It's right here in her hand. Need EMS 1017.
Yes, thank you, Bruce.
Is there a pulse? I can't find a pulse. You can come over here and check. I don't have a pulse. She's right here. She's gone.
Tragically, it was clear that Tiffany had already passed away. But there was still hope, as EMS was in hot pursuit to the residence, intent on reestablishing a heartbeat.
EMS is on the way, okay?
As they waited, deputies asked Jason to explain what happened leading up to Tiffany's death.
What happened tonight? We were arguing. I gave her stuff so she could go. I didn't let her in the house. The last thing I remember, she said she loved me, and I was going in the house, and I heard a shot, a scream, and then another shot.
Here's a slightly more detailed version of what Jason just said. About a half hour earlier, at around 10:30 p.m., Tiffany returned home with the kids. After the kids ran inside, an argument broke out between Jason and Tiffany. Apparently, Jason was so upset that he refused to let Tiffany into the house. He told her to wait outside while he gathered some of her clothes and her work uniform so she could leave for the night. He then said that as he walked away, he heard Tiffany saying that she loved him. Suddenly, he heard a gunshot, followed by a loud scream, and then another shot. He quickly ran back outside and found Tiffany curled up inside the van with the door closed. That's when he immediately dialed 911.
911, where's your...
Okay, that doesn't seem that doesn't seem believable at all. She's with the kids. She brings the kids to your house. Y'all had an argument. You didn't want her to go inside the house. You went inside to bring her things out. And in the process of having a heated argument and you wouldn't let her in the house with your children, she's going to just say, I love you. And then somebody miraculously in the night just comes and shoots in the car. Like, that doesn't make no sense. Like, I don't really think that some of these suspects, they really don't be paying attention to their story. Because, I mean, I would have been a little bit more believable if he would have said that when they were out with the kids earlier, they noticed that there was a car following us. I would have been a little bit more open to his story if he would have said that him and the mother of his child was getting death threats by her ex-boyfriend or by his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or something like that, right? And that there was a paper trail that they reported it to the police and stuff like that. That would make it a little bit more believable. But just for it to just randomly, you had a fitted argument with her. You told her to stay her ass outside and I'm going to get your work clothes and hand it to you and you figure out where you're going to stay tonight, but you're not staying up in this house. And then she just going to, out of nowhere, after y'all cursing each other out, say, I love you, and pop, pop. And then you come running back out like, oh my God, what is that noise? And then you see her curled up in pain, bleeding out in the car. I just don't believe stuff like that. And I don't think they really pay attention to it. I don't really think they pay attention to it at all. Let's see. Hey, love, what happened? What happened? What did I do? What did I do? Am I on mute? He was such a good dad that he unalived his beloved wife. Again, bullshit story. I totally agree. But let's go on. Let's hear the 911 call.
Emergency.
I need someone to come out here to my house.
Police or medical?
My wife is shot.
Tell me exactly what's going on.
My wife has been shot. She's in her van.
Sir, is she breathing?
I don't know.
I never heard of him saying that she had a gun at all.
Where has she been shot?
Did you see this before, Matt?
Shot in the head.
Who shot her in the head?
I'm trying to turn the lights on so I can see.
Where's the gun at?
It's laying beside her.
Clearly, Jason was acting suspicious from the second he dialed 911. Instead of answering who he believed shot his wife, he just let out an airy sigh and moved on.
Who shot her in the head?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Hey, love, I do.
I need someone out here, please.
But once officers were on the scene, he became much more forthcoming. Instead of dodging questions, he told them exactly what he believed happened. He stated that if Tiffany didn't pull the trigger, it must have been an unknown assailant. But before the deputies could dig any deeper into these theories, the EMTs finally arrived on the scene, eager to bring Tiffany back to life.
You stay back here. What they're going to do is try to determine if they can get a pulse, okay? Open the bag. Give me some trauma shoes.
Stay clear of patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Check airway. Check breathing. Check circulation. Analyzing heart rhythm. Check circulation.
As Tiffany was receiving medical care, the deputies decided to follow up on some of Jason's statements. They wondered if an event like this was predictable for Tiffany.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes, sir.
How old is she?
She's about 33.
Is there
a fault?
They're working on her. I didn't feel one, but they're working on her, okay?
Yeah.
OJ did it!
Is that her gun that she kept with her?
Yes, she kept it in the door.
Any kind of mental problems in the past?
No. I mean, she's seeing a counselor. I didn't know that till today.
This comment raised some
red flag, super red flag. So here's why it's a red flag. It's not a red flag that she might have been going through some things. Tell you the truth, majority of these people in this country right now need to go see a counselor and a therapist. Hands down, okay? Even ones who are not thinking about, and also it's about to be, I think it's suicide month. It's suicide month. Please check on your loved ones. Please check on your friends. Please check on your strong ones that's in your life and make sure that they're okay, because they might not be okay, all right? It is suicide month. But my thing is, the reason why it's a red flag is because you already made the assumption that she harmed herself. And my thing is, if you already knew that she was dealing with, her own inner demons and problems and issues, or she wasn't really getting a handle of y'all relationship, spiraling out of control, then why continue to push her buttons that will make her do something like that? Because he alluded to that earlier about if it wasn't her that pulled the trigger, it had to be some imaginary person that just came up out of nowhere and did a walk by, because it wasn't a drive by. We didn't hear about no car pulling up next to her car and shooting through the window. No, we heard about there were some shots, and then now is either she did it or some invisible person that have done it. But why would you push her buttons if you already knew that if you even understood that she was having counseling? He said that you just learned about it today. I doubt it. I doubted that you have just learned about her going to counseling. And then I will also want to know, what was the argument that you had with her in the car, that was so bad that she wasn't even able to set foot in your house. You was going to go retrieve her work clothes. Those are the things I will be asking right now. But it does bring up red flags, because it does seem like he's positioning that she committed suicide, that the gun wound, or when they do check her and they pronounce her dead, that the gun wounds that they're going to find is going to be self-inflicted. We all have an understanding of what self-inflicted gun wounds look like and how people usually take their life when they're thinking about committing suicide via a weapon. But let's see. Let's go on. Hey, boo, how are you? Oh, snap, she got a whole new avatar. I'm digging it. I'm digging the hair. Good to see you. Happy Saturday.
Red flags for the deputies. Did Tiffany really go behind Jason's back to get counseling? If so, why? They wondered if there were escalating problems within the relationship, which led to Tiffany's death. Because of this inkling, they decided to check the records for any domestic disputes between Jason and Tiffany. And although there was nothing of interest, they did discover that Jason had deep ties to law enforcement. He was actually the son of Rhonda Crawford, the head of management at the county's public records office.
You know it's Rhonda's daughter-in-law. His mother works in records across from the sheriff's office. Oh, shoot.
Rhonda was then called to the scene, and just as she arrived, at 11:38 p.m., EMS officially declared Tiffany deceased.
I agree.
How's it now, Jess? 2338. Doctor at CRNC just told him to call it.
Jason and Rhonda immediately started calling Tiffany's family to deliver the tragic news. While they did, investigators examined the van for any potential clues. They discovered fingerprints on the pink revolver, 2 spent bullet casings,
2 extended 3 live,
blood spatter, and a journal that belonged to Tiffany. They also found gunshot residue on Tiffany's hands and clothing. They collected all of this evidence for forensic analysis. While speaking to the neighbors, investigators learned that Tiffany was heavily involved in volunteering at local community events, and was even the founder of an online group called Mothers Helping Mothers.
MHM is a community for all moms of all walks of life. It doesn't matter your background, we want to be there to love and support you. We're there to laugh with each other, to love each other, and to just build you up in everyday motherhood.
Considering how dedicated and passionate she was about her community, authorities wondered who would want to kill Tiffany and why. After inspecting the body on site, the coroner believed that the presence of 2 bullet wounds meant that this was almost certainly a homicide. and that the gun must have been placed in her hand after Tiffany was already dead. Tiffany's body was then transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences for an autopsy. The next morning, on May 3rd, 20...
So, like I said, they were going to examine the entry of the bullets. And even though where she was shot was pretty close to looking like self-inflicted, the only problem is that when a person commits suicide, they know how to directly end their life, especially with a weapon. And 9 times out of 10, a matter of fact, I would say 10 times out of 10, after shooting yourself one time, you don't have the amount of strength nor mental capacity to pull the trigger again and shoot yourself. She was shot twice, one in the temple and one in the neck, meaning that someone else had to shoot her. It's another thing that is concerning is that she had gun residue on her hands. That means that someone placed the gun in her hand to make it seem like, she was the one who pulled the trigger. So it shows that initially this homicide was supposed to be a suicide, but because there's certain things that can show you that it is an actual homicide and it had to be somebody involved, luckily now they have to look for a suspect and not just deem this as a suicide. But the person who did it thought, if I shoot here and if I shoot there and if I put her hand on the weapon, they're going to automatically believe that she did it. Now it makes even more sense to me why he, quote unquote, said that he ran back into the house, right? Because I'm going to believe that it's the boyfriend or the baby father. I'm going to believe that. And my story that I'm picking up is that he got the kids in the house. He shot her when the kids were already in the house. He ran back in the house, got some clothes. He ran back in the house and got her journal. That's why I also believe that he didn't know when he lied and said that he just found out today that she was going to counseling is bull crap. Why would she be going out with you and the kids and have her journal in the car? Usually a journal is kept protected. It's your inner thoughts. It's something that you don't want people to know. It's writing out all your thoughts for the day, for the week, for the month. And that's not something that you're going to have out in the open, readily available for anybody just to pick up and look, right? So to have the journal right there, right next to her in the car, no, that seems very suspect. It seems really like set up to make it seem like it was a suicide. Poor thing. And the ones who need meds have made us who are close to sane need them too, right? And a hate love say, yeah, MJ, maybe he did it first, then went in, a panic rushing in, got her clothes, etc. It could be any number of BS reasons. Yes, I agree. Bring her back, the Bob chick? Yeah. That's Miss Cunty. She usually have a different avatar. She's cool. Another good girl trying to do right is harm. Yeah, it's sad. Was she left-handed too? We don't know if she was left-handed and that's another thing too, because if you look at where she was shot at, she was shot on the left side of her temple and on the left side of her neck. If you're right-handed, most of the time you're going to shoot with your strong hand, and your strong hand will be the right, and you will shoot on the right side. Right temple, under your chin is normally where they like to go, sometimes inside the mouth. These are the main places where people who commit suicide by gun, where they shoot at, okay? So if she's shot on the left side, and if she's not like, what is it? What's the word? If she's not a left-handed person or whatever, not, then it doesn't really fly. It really doesn't fly. Hi, how you doing? Happy Saturday. But let's go on.
17. The case was handed over to the Alabama State Bureau of Investigation, and Detective Joe Parrish was put in charge. To begin his investigation, he planned on taking a look at Tiffany Crawford's van for himself. But to his surprise, the Coleman Sheriff's Office had already returned the van to the Crawford family the night before. Parrish was still able to quickly track down the vehicle and examine it. But strangely, Jason had already thoroughly cleaned it. And apparently, he had actually gotten permission from the sheriff's office to do so. Jason stated that the reason he cleaned the van so quickly was that he didn't want his kids to see any remnants of the horrible murder that took place inside.
Thank you.
Detective Parrish confirmed that Jason did in fact have permission to clean the vehicle. But he couldn't help but wonder if Jason received special treatment due to his connection with law.
Jason definitely achieved special treatment from his mom being a part of law enforcement. For him for them to give back that vehicle so quickly, and him being able to clean it and thoroughly have it detailed and stuff like that, or he doing the detail, that was special treatment. Like, you didn't even let any oncoming investigator to come in to examine certain things themselves. Like, just the initial people that come on scene, is you need more than one eye, right? You need more than one eye. There's things that a particular investigator has specialties in that a on-site police officer don't have, right? So for them to give it back so quickly, I don't know. That's very concerning for me and my understanding how things go. Very, very concerning, because usually you don't give back the vehicle. Sometimes it'd be a week, sometimes, depending on how many investigators is on this particular case, and they have to do their own due diligence. Yes, they can get information from reports from other investigators, the reports from the police officers on the scene and what they searched and things. They can look at that and start a case from there. But usually a specific investigator that's good in what they're trained to do or specialized to do, they want to examine the evidence themselves. And when they decided to assign this particular investigator onto the case, that car was not supposed to be given back to them as if it wasn't a homicide location or vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, a crime was committed inside that vehicle. It should not have been given back to the family that quickly. So I do believe he was given special privileges. Dupa said, yes, they should have been impounded immediately in that vehicle. Right. Is that absolutely? That vehicle would have been taken apart and investigated. Yes, absolutely. So he's right. He's right. And that's also weary too, because if it was anything that could have had allude to him having any involvement with it, especially since he had admitted from his own words that he was the last person with her with the children, then that could have been another reason why his mom, kind of helped them with that situation as well. But let's go on.
Enforcement. However, since there wasn't any proof of corruption, he had no choice but to move on with his investigation. He diverted his focus to carefully reviewing the 911 call and noticed that Jason sounded calculated when answering some of the questions and may have been avoiding other questions altogether, like this one.
Who has she been shot by?
Please have an ambulance come out, please. I need someone out here, please.
7 days after Tiffany was shot dead, Detective Parrish asked Jason to come down to the station for an interview.
With the State Bureau of Investigation.
During this interview, Jason spoke about his relationship with Tiffany. He explained that this was actually his second marriage, and his first marriage ended abruptly after learning that his wife had cheated on him. He got a divorce and was a single dad to his son Logan for several years. After putting himself back on the market, he met Tiffany, but at the time, she was still married to another man. She eventually got divorced as well, and like clockwork, the two started dating before getting married in 2011. Their marriage lasted more than 6 years, during which they had 2 children of their own, Tristan and Symphony. However, in the months leading up to her death, Tiffany's behavior changed and she started drinking very heavily.
There was at one point, about 2.5 to 3 months ago, where she felt like she was probably going to leave. She started drinking more, like she was buying more wine. She would not just drink 2 or 3 glasses, like at least 3 or 4 nights a week, she would almost drink the whole bottle.
With trust issues from his last relationship, Jason had a sneaking suspicion that Tiffany was hiding something from him as well, but he hadn't figured out what it could be. Then, just hours before her death, curiosity got the better of him. So he logged onto Tiffany's computer and found messages to her new counselor, complaining about how lazy he is on a daily basis.
I logged onto her computer and saw that she had messaged her, I guess her counselor, because it was Lori, talking about me, about he hasn't changed, he's still lazy,
Right.
doesn't have any drive, he doesn't want to do anything. When I come home from the shop, I
Right, that
want
doesn't even
to
make any
not
sense.
do anything. She was a stay-at-home mom, so I felt like stuff at the house was her job.
To make matters worse, he also discovered messages to another man, revealing that Tiffany was, in fact, having an affair.
So the funny thing about it is, he had an inkling that she was having another affair with another man from the get-go. That's the reason why he went snooping in and sneaking in and logging into her computer and things. But then again, you said earlier that you didn't know that she was seeing a counselor until that day. So I'm wondering, is he trying to position it as that's what was the big argument? The big argument was that he found out the things that she was texting to her counselor, and then by him snooping a little bit more, he found out that she was also talking to another man that he doesn't know, or or is not a part of their friend group, family group, or something like that. Was that the reason why that they had the argument? But again, if you said that you've been married to this woman for 6 years, you said at the end of like the last 2 years, she started heavily drinking, and she's drinking all the time. She's drinking whole bottles of wine and, in one setting and all the stuff like that. You knew that she was having some issues and problems. This is why I cannot believe that he did not know that she was going to some form of counseling or 12 steps, something for alcohol addiction, right? You knew you knew that this was going on, and you knew 2 years problem that she had an issue, because you're saying it right now. So the biggest thing that he's given away from himself is that there was an issue. The motive could have been the cheating situation. It doesn't seem like it's anything else. But we'll see what else he has to say. We still have, but there's a lot of things that it's not sitting up right for him. I'll tell you that much. Williams said he said at the start that there was no mental issues. Then she may be seeing a counselor, which he only found out about how did he get on her computer. Right, exactly. This is why I said that he's lying. His story is not lining up. We seen the video what he said to the police that came on scene. He said that he just found out today that she was seeing a counselor. But then now he's telling the detectives in the room that she had somewhat of an alcohol problem 2 years, the last 2 years within their 6 year of a marriage. Then we're finding out that not only did you log in because you had some whereabouts of what was going on with her, you logged in because you thought that she was a cheating wife. And then you found messages of what she said about you to her counselor and then another person. So those things, and also what he have said earlier, it doesn't match up. It shows more of a reason where he could have been involved, and that something really did happen with this blow up argument that they had prior to him going into the house. It doesn't look good for him. And he doesn't understand that, because he just thinks that if he says this and he paints her out as some mother who has alcohol addiction, and like I said, that strategic putting her journal in the car, with her deep thoughts and maybe probably have suicidal thoughts and things of that sort, it was supposed to be the perfect setup to make it look like a suicide. That's how it's playing out to me. I don't know how it's playing out to you guys, but let's go on. Let's go on.
So what happened next?
After I read that, that's when I called her. She denied having sex with him. And at that point, I was getting frustrated and wanting her to come home. And I was like, well, I want you to come home and need to talk about this. It was just kept dwelling on my mind.
A few hours later, when Tiffany came home with the kids, Jason went outside and confronted her about the affair.
First thing I told her was, you take your wedding ring off. Okay? Like calling her stuff. So you ruined our home. She's like, you're no longer part of this. And you ripped the heart completely out. You know, you destroyed this, you destroyed her marriage, you destroyed everything.
As we mentioned earlier, Jason refused to let her into the house and told her to sleep somewhere else.
She wanted her stuff because she needed to go to work tomorrow. So I went back in to get them. I walked to the house. I was going in the house. I had just shut the door. Like I said, then I heard the shot. It was like one of those horrific screams that it sounded like something from a horror movie.
How long between the shots we're talking?
Like, it was like, well, scream and the shot. And then like the last shot, the scream was over.
Notice Jason's hand position while recalling the moment that shots were fired, rather than knocking on the table with his fist or an open.
So I'm glad they pointed that out about this individual. He's already letting you know that he was the one who pulled the trigger. The simple fact that he's doing this and he's not doing this is because he is subconsciously remembering that he held the gun and how many times he shot the gun. He remembers the rhythm of how he shot the gun. And this is why he's using his pointer finger, because that's subconsciously of something that he just did. That's what happened. That's what he's doing right now. If y'all don't see it, but that's why. It's because this is subconsciously he's telling on himself right now. What an idiot. Let's go on.
Palm, he points his index finger as if he was holding the gun himself. The detective saw this as a telling sign that Jason was actually holding the gun when shots were fired. While Detective Parrish continued questioning Jason about the details of that night, there was one detail that stood out.
Was she left or right-handed?
She's right-handed. Right. Yeah.
Tiffany being right-handed is significant because the weapon was in.
There you go. So now we found out that she's right-handed. So again, we know that she did not commit suicide. If you're right-handed, that is your strong hand. You will shoot on the right side of your pupil. You would shoot here. You would shoot here. Or you would shoot here. You're not going to go like this. You're not going to go like this. And when you do it with your left hand, which is your weaker hand, it's not going to be a clean shot. It really isn't. You're not going to be able to hold it as steady and as that you need to do the situation. She was shot on her left side, deliberately in her temple, deliberately in her neck. And like I said, a person who's committing suicide are not going to have enough strength to pull the trigger twice. And it's like, just think about, like, I just want y'all to really think about it. If you shoot yourself in the temple, you're literally going to drop the gun. You might even go unconscious, right? Within that second, right? And then your organs is trying to like pretty much keep you alive at that point, right? If you shoot yourself in the neck, you're bleeding out, right? You probably hit the main artery. You're going to be bleeding out fast, right? Because that's what happens when you shoot yourself in the neck, in the artery. You bleed out fast. It's within seconds. I think about 9 seconds, right? All of the where she got shot at, there's no way she's going to have the power to shoot herself again, especially in those areas. There's no way. There's no way. So for the simple fact is, this is a homicide. This is a pure homicide. Now they just have to figure out or get a confession if it was the boyfriend, or if they can find any other evidence that says that somebody else was there. Like a wallet on the floor. Do they have a camera seeing somebody come up to the vehicle? Like those are the things that would make them lead down another path that somebody else did this. But we can clearly clear it out that she did not unalive herself. Period. Let's see. Who timed out Miss Cunty? Who timed out Miss Cunty? Don't time out Miss Cunty. She's good. She's good. Miss Jalen said, get a lawyer. Right. Yep, and Duping did ask if she was left-handed. Right, exactly. Boom, smoking gun, right about the position of the gun on the floor of the car. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. Let's go on. Okay, no problem. Okay.
In her left hand when deputies arrived at the scene.
Where's the gun, sir? It's
No
right here in
problem,
my hand.
This finding further indicated that the crime scene had been staged.
She ever shot left-handed? Like, depending what y'all did at the range?
No, not really. Oh. The only thing I can think of is just because it was right there. She just reached and grabbed it.
Chandler, how you doing? Happy Saturday.
Did you shoot your wife?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
The interview was wrapped up, but before leaving the station, Jason surrendered his phone to the authorities. However, the phone was clean, as there was nothing incriminating on it. 19 days later, there had been no new developments in the case, so Jason was brought back in for further questioning and agreed to take a polygraph test.
A test has begun. Please remain still. Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford?
No.
Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford in the head?
No.
So we all know that polygraphs are not admissible in court because they're not 100% accurate. In fact, they're like range around like maybe 80%, right? But what they still do, they use it as a way to find out whether a suspect is withholding information or not telling truth. This would give the detective enough ammo to question them a certain type of way and see if they're going to crack in that way. So that's what they kind of use in polygraphs for today. Is not to actually help with any form of conviction. They use it as a way to spot whether or not if this person is untruthful, and then they can take a different tactic, mental tactic, to get this person to tell on themselves, to get more information, or to give a confession. But let's see if he passed his polygraph test. I doubt it. I doubt that he will, but let's go on.
Did you shoot Tiffany Crawford inside that van?
No.
The polygraph test was concluded, and the examiner was certain that Jason was being deceptive.
Your reactions were off the chain. Okay. You're saying that there's no way that you shot your wife.
Correct.
Even after being called out for his deplorable polygraph results, Jason continued to firmly maintain his innocence.
I don't want to hear that I didn't shoot my wife, because I know that's a lie.
He then did something we almost never see in an interrogation. He clarified that he wasn't under arrest and walked out.
I can get up and leave because I'm under arrest, right?
You listen to me, huh? Walk out there. Oh, you know what?
A failed polygraph wasn't substantial enough to warrant an arrest. Months went by with no significant discoveries in Tiffany's case. During this time, the community of Coleman County gathered to celebrate her life. People shared fond memories of Tiffany's kind spirit and dedication to helping others.
She's probably one of the most encouraging girls I've ever met, one of the most encouraging human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
I have always said that Tiffany and I are like two peas in a pod. I don't know how to go on without her, but I'm going to try for my grandchildren.
Her heart was so big and bursting with love. She would do anything to help anyone in need. So kind and caring and compassionate.
With the help of Tiffany's friends and members of Moms Helping Moms, a bench in Sportsman Lake Park was dedicated to Tiffany.
This weekend, Tiffany's friends dedicated a new bench in her memory in Sportsman Lake Park. It's purple, her favorite color.
A perfect way to remember her, because this means, if you sit on the bench, then you want a friend, you need a friend, and someone comes sit with you and you're never alone.
It was evident that the community not only wanted to honor Tiffany's memory, but also yearned for answers surrounding her untimely death. Due to a backlog in the Alabama State Crime Lab, about a year passed before authorities finally received Tiffany's autopsy report on March 8, 2018. Dr. Valerie Green, the medical examiner, confirmed her initial observations, stating that Tiffany's manner of death was homicide, directly contradicting Jason's story. Jason said that the car door was closed and that he found Tiffany with the gun in her left hand. The absence of gunshot residue and abrasions around the wound on the left side of Tiffany's head indicated that the shot was fired from at least 10 inches away. If the door was closed like Jason said it was, there would have been less than 10 inches of space. Not only that, but if the door was closed, it certainly would have been covered in the victim's blood. However, there was no blood on the driver's side door at all. To the detectives, these results were irrefutable proof that Jason's story was impossible. They now had even more reason to believe that Jason had murdered his wife in cold blood. While the autopsy report was a much-needed win for the detectives, there was still no physical evidence that Jason was the one who fired the gun. However, Detective...
See, and that's why I said that it was a problem that they allowed him to get the vehicle back so quickly and pretty much detail the vehicle. That's what made it take so long, because like I said, it was going to take some time to find out about the autopsy, about the gun wounds and all that stuff like that, and they found that information out. If they would have held on to that vehicle and let that investigator who wanted the vehicle to examine it and thoroughly go and check everything, they would have found out that it was him that did it. They would have found out that the door was open when she was actually shot and not closed. They would have found out that that was the reason why that you don't see no bullet hitting the side of the door. There was nothing wrong with the door. In fact, there was nothing wrong with the vehicle. The vehicle was actually fine. It was only Tiffany that was harmed inside this vehicle. They would have found all that information out if they would not have let that man take that vehicle literally a day after of this crime. And I'm sorry, like if it's found out, if they find some other evidence that links him to him taking her life, I really think that his mom should be held accountable for it, because she did pull some strings for her son for him to get that vehicle and clean it out as quickly as possible, which prolonged this woman and her family and her kids for getting the justice that she deserves. Really. William said, why was he not tested for gun residue straight away? And his body in the first interview was leaning away from the detective, distancing himself. Right. And that's another thing too. They dropped the ball because they didn't test them. Right. They did not test them from any gun residue. That's another thing that could have helped. If he had gun residue on him, he was not supposed to have any gun residue on him whatsoever. But what did he probably do? He probably went in the house also to wash his hands too, right? But they could have tested his clothes. They could have tested the sneakers that he was wearing. If he had a hat, they could have tested that. It would have showed up, but they didn't do that. They gave him the benefit of doubt. Even though he was, he's supposed to be perceived as the suspect, they didn't do their due diligence with him as the initial suspect. They gave him the benefit of doubt. They gave him the benefit of being a grieving husband. And he actually really did play the part, right? He gave the right amount of emotion about the things that was going on. He led the whole narrative that she was dealing with mental issues, that she was seeing a counselor. Now she had an alcohol addiction that she picked up 2 years ago. And then it seemed that she had conflicting emotions about her marriage because she was talking to another individual. He set everything up and they ate the situation. It's sad. They didn't swab his hands. No, they didn't. That is a mistrial right there. Man, listen.
Parish and Coleman County prosecutors believed that they had enough circumstantial evidence to take the case to a grand jury. After a thorough review, the grand jury found sufficient grounds to indict Jason Crawford. He was officially charged with first-degree murder. On Monday, May 21st, 2018, Jason turned himself in.
Jason Dwayne Crawford has been indicted for murder by a grand jury. According to the sheriff's office, Crawford turned himself in here at the Coleman County Detention Center today. He was booked and then posted a $100,000 property bond.
At his arraignment hearing, he pled not guilty. He was then escorted to the Coleman County Detention Center. However, since he immediately posted his bond, he was released after just 30 minutes. While out on bail, the Coleman community, which included Tiffany's family, continued to support Jason. They truly believed that he did not commit the disturbing crime that he was accused of. After several delays, the trial finally commenced on Monday, November 14th, 2022. It had been over 5 years since Tiffany's death, and although family and friends believed in Jason's innocence, they were all eager for details of the investigation to come to light. In State Prosecutor Jeff Roberts' opening statement, he meticulously laid out the case against Jason. He said that it was physically impossible for the shooting to be anything but a homicide, and Jason was the only person who had a clear motive: to get revenge for Tiffany cheating on him. They pointed out his suspicious behavior throughout the investigation, including his avoidance of important questions during the 911 call.
He shot her in the head.
And the conflicting statement he made about the gun laying next to her.
Where's the gun at?
It's laying beside her.
Which in reality was actually in Tiffany's left hand when the cops found her.
Where's the gun, sir? It's right here in her hand.
They also pointed out that he refused to be tested for gunshot residue and cleaned the van spotless as soon as it was released back to him. The state called DNA analysts.
Not this motherfucker refused to test. That what see that now that see right there that gets me. That gets me. That irks my nerve right there. Why would he refuse? If you didn't remove and if you didn't touch the gun and if you wasn't nowhere near when she quote unquote shot the gun, because remember, he tried to make it seem that she shot the gun. It was self-inflicted. She had it in her left hand. Why would you refuse to get tested for gun residue? Because it's either you shot or you was there when she shot. Right? Either way, you was there at the scene of the event. You were not in the house. You did not hear gunshots in the house. You was right there. It doesn't matter how you try to slice it. But that irks my nerve. He refused to do it, and y'all let him slip like that? Y'all let him maneuver like that? I don't know what was going on. Like, his mom really must have pull like that. She really did have pull in her department like that, because this is insane. How was he able to refuse that when his wife got shot by a gun and it was found in her left hand, knowing that she's a right-handed person and that he was the last person that was with her? How did they let that slide? I don't understand that. That's driving me insane. That's bugging me insane. They dropped the ball. And it's so bad that, look, this is 5 years later, this trial. 5 years later, her family and her children had to wait 5 years later to find out if the person who harmed their sister, their daughter, their mom is going to actually have to, deal with the consequences for the crime that they did to get justice. It's crazy. Oh, he refused to be tested. Right. How can he refuse? Right. That's just like, but they didn't arrest him. That's why. That's why he was able to refuse. Like I said, when they first went in and they was interviewing him, he wasn't under any charges. They didn't officially charge him. Remember, they didn't officially charge him until a year later. A year later, that's when they want to indict him on charges. So that whole entire time that we seen him talking before, he wasn't under any charges. That's why he can refuse. That's just crazy. The cops dropped the ball and his mother. Yeah. That clever piece of crap. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't know refusing was an option for GSR testing in a homicide, unless you are put on if you're indicted on some form of charges as a suspect. He was never identified as a official target. Made no attempt to help her also. That's another thing too, right? Because we saw the video, we saw the body cam. He didn't have an ounce of blood on him. He didn't have no blood on him whatsoever. So that means that you did not try to render aid to your quote unquote wife of 6 years. And that you're so shocked and like stirred up that, oh my God, you heard gunshots go off and she's in the vehicle. And I just left her a few minutes ago because we just argued and I put the kids in the house. But you didn't even try to help her. Not one bit. Not one bit. How do they let him? I don't know, man. Let's go on. That's sad. That's crazy. They dropped the ball big time.
Angela Fletcher to the stand. Since only a trace amount of male DNA was detected on the gun, she couldn't confirm whether or not it belonged to Jason. The prosecutor suggested that there was hardly any DNA on the gun because Jason had cleaned it before staging the scene. There was also no blood on the driver's side door, which is consistent with Jason standing outside the van and shooting Tiffany while the door was open. However, the defense argued that there was still no physical evidence to directly link Jason to the shooting. They believed that the incompetence of the sheriff's office is why Jason was never ruled out as a suspect. For example, the trace amount of male DNA could have belonged to an unknown assailant, but the deputies had tunnel vision on Jason and didn't properly investigate that possibility. They emphasized that the police should have forced Jason to be tested for gunshot residue. They also should have searched for any bloody clothes inside Jason's house.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And the DA, well, I would say the defense attorney. The defense attorney is right to use this angle. Most people would believe who don't understand what happens in trial and stuff like that. Most people will believe that, like, what are you doing, defense attorney? Isn't you setting it up to make it seem that your client is guilty? I thought you're supposed to be helping your client get off. His strategy that he's using is that the fumbling of the ball from the police, the investigators, and the DA, if they really truly believe that his client was the one who have done it, they would have done the proper protocol. But because they didn't do the proper protocol, they in their deepest heart don't believe that it was him. They just figured that this was a case that was going cold. Family and friends, the neighborhood is looking for some answers. So now they're like, well, the only thing that makes sense is that it has to be him. And they didn't want to do any other work to go look and see if it was someone else. You know what I'm saying? And this is what he's doing. He's showing the negligence of the department, of the investigators, of the police, and of the DA, that because of their negligence, now they're just only attacking his client because they want to clean it up. They want to clean it up and get it and get a conviction, not because it's the right thing to do or the justifiable thing to do. It's because they need to make it. They need to calm down the community, right? So they don't care if they're throwing an innocent man under the bus. They just need someone to answer for this. So it's very smart for the DA to move in this type of matter and to have his opening comments and statements and his final comments and statements calling out the negligence of the DA and the department. It would probably actually help his client. Very strategic, very, very, very smart. Very smart. Absolutely. Hey, Stay Strong. How are you? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. You know, I forgot what state it is, Stay Strong. I got to look into that. But yes, he is a good, that was a good defense attorney. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to even think in that way, to harp on leading with the negligence of the prosecutor. Ooh, because you know what that does, guys? That creates doubt. It creates doubt on their whole case and what they build it up. So it could lead to a mistrial, or it could lead to dropping all charges. So whoever his defense attorney is, the guy that's he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. He knows how to work that room. He knows how to work that courtroom. Okay. Let's go on.
Defense also claimed that Jason was inside the house when the shots were fired, which was corroborated by Jason's eldest son during his testimony. To address the claims from the prosecution's medical examiner, the defense hired their own medical examiner, Dr. James Lauridsen. Despite the fact that there were 2 gunshot wounds, he believed that this was not a homicide. While one half of the defense's case was tackling the accusations against Jason, the other half focused on Tiffany's state of mind at the time of her death. It turned out that Tiffany's friends confirmed Jason's claims that she had been drinking excessively. Apparently, she was upset because the man she had an affair with had recently broken up with her. She even started seeing a counselor to address her mental instability. Her first appointment was the day before she died. Portions of Tiffany's diary were read aloud to the jury. In one of the entries, she wrote that she was trying not to break down. The entry was dated May 2nd, 2017, the same day as the shooting. The last person the defense called to the stand was Jason himself. He spoke with compelling emotion, insisting that he loved Tiffany and vehemently denied any involvement.
So that's the problem right there. If they didn't even test this man for prints, I'm not even thinking that they even test that journal for prints. I would test the journal. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's the dropping of the ball all the way around. They really did not do a tight, a tight, neat job on this case. They let a lot of loopholes go around, and they left a lot of doubt, right? A lot of doubt. And that's what, and that's the problem. When you leave too much reasonable doubt, you can lose the case as a DA, right? You can lose that case. That's why you have to have it tight as possible. You have to literally get as much evidence as possible. And the best thing that you can always do is get it from the horse's mouth, a confession. That is like that's like the golden ticket, really, like to any DA, to any prosecutor. Get a confession, but they wasn't able to get any of that. All right, let's go on.
In her death. This testimony seemed like a strategic move to humanize Jason and sway the jury. But there were several moments of inappropriate laughter, which the prosecutor pounced on during cross-examination, questioning his sincerity and emotional state. On Friday, November 18th, 2022, after 4 days of trial, Jason's fate was now in the hands of the jury. After carefully reviewing the evidence, they returned with a verdict. Jason Dwayne Crawford was found guilty of murdering his wife. Jason immediately appealed this conviction, but it was ultimately denied by the Alabama Court of Criminal Appeals. His sentencing hearing was on Friday, March 10th, 2023, and Tiffany's mother Cheryl spoke directly to Jason, saying, "If not you, who? You were there. You know the truth. I pray you will someday find wisdom and strength to speak the truth." After the impact statements were concluded, the judge handed down Jason's sentence. Jason received 99 years in prison with the possibility of parole after serving 15 years. He is currently serving his sentence at the Kilby Correctional Facility in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, I'm so glad that he was found guilty. and he was given time. They gave him 99 years, but he gets parole in 15. And I think that the reason why the judge did that, because of the simple fact that since he did a very good job of cleaning majority of his DNA off the gun, a good job of detailing that vehicle, they didn't really have any other evidence besides the fact that he was with her and he was the last person that saw her alive when this whole situation happened. So they wanted to, I guess, in some way be fair to him, I guess. And then on top of that, it didn't help that her own family was supportive of him, thinking that it was someone else. That's what also kind of helped him a little bit too, right? It's sad. It's really, really sad. I mean, whether or not if she felt, whether or not if she was cheating, that's not a right to take someone's life. It's not, and this is not to condone cheating. Cheating is horrible. It's betrayal beyond betrayal. It's disgusting, really, right? It's really disgusting. But it's still not a reason to take someone's life. And it's still not a reason to take someone away from their children. And this goes for male or female. It's not right. Don't do that, and you don't have the right to do anything like that either, right? So I'm what? Oh Lord, please, someone go ahead and put that person, block him, put him on timeout. You're going to be removed. Thank you. All right, good folks. I am going to bid you farewell and good night. I was requested by a friend to go and join a panel, so I will. But I'm going to go get me something to eat. I will be back tomorrow, guys. And this time I promise I will be back tomorrow. I am off tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow. I don't have no special what's the name, unless I am on call all the time 24/7. So if I do get a call in, I will let y'all know on a post to say, hey, I might have to postpone. But as of right now, I am off. So I will come back with more cases for you tomorrow. I want y'all to go ahead and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for everyone who have came in to come and kick it with me for as long as we have been on, almost 3 hours. Yeah, actually 3 hours, definitely. Make sure you're hitting the like button on your way out. If you haven't hit it before, please share this out to anybody who like these immersive type of conversations and reviewing old cases. Shout out to all my mods. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you more than you know. And, thank everyone. Thank you all. Like I said, this is y'all Saturday. Y'all could have been doing anything else, whatever not. But I will see you good folks tomorrow. So please definitely go ahead and enjoy the rest of your evening. And talk to you later, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.